It's pounding up. We're not getting into the storm.
Oh no. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm just doing some setup stuff that I neglected to do. There's always something. My voice is a little better, but it still sounds like I don't know. It just sounds kind of rough, I know. Tonight we're going to look at some really cool jewelry box type clusters in the sky, plus a few nebulae. The moon doesn't come up till later, so it won't be in our way. Right now I have the screen on the asteroid Juno, and we'll see it in a second. I'll take a picture of it and show it to you directly, but it's right about there. And that asteroid is, gosh, it's 40 some odd million miles away. As usual, the dome cams are up. This one is down at the moment. Ops is over here. Hi there, that's me. This is Gumby over here. Do you see Gumby? He was once a little green ball of clay. Gumby, you should see what Gumby can do today. He can walk into any book with his pony pal Pokey too. How many people remember that?
Wow.
I know, not many, right? Of course, I'm singing over the music playing through the stream, so it's got to sound gross. Alright, so I've got one other thing to do here. I think we got to go to this. Advanced audio properties. I got that in monitor and output. Oh, I got to reselect it though. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So I think everybody can hear me now, and they can hear you too, Amanda.
So?
Yeah, speak for me, Amanda. Say something.
I had a few people saying hello to me, so I thought they heard me on the stream.
Oh, okay. No, you're here.
I'm here.
That's so cool.
Hey, Al.
Cool. Well, let's just jump in. I'm going to take a 15-second photo of this, what looks like a blank, empty star field, and you'll see something interesting show up in a moment. And we're doing it at 16,000 ISO, which is a sensitivity setting. And you'll notice that I will not talk sometimes, and that's just to give my voice a rest. Yeah, and I'm going to zoom out just a bit. Okay, now you see in the center of this star field, there's a bunch of stars. We have an orangey star up here. We have a brighter star over here. And then we have this little bump of 3 stars right here. Okay, although one of them is pretending to be a star and it's not. Okay, as we zoom in, okay, get a little closer. And we see there's a star here. That is a star. We see this. That is a star. This is not. That is the asteroid Juno. What is Juno, you might ask? Well, Juno is an interesting. It's a beautiful asteroid. And if we go look at our planetarium map here, okay, get out of there. No, go away. If we go back to our planetarium map here, right, you know what? I'm going to have to accept this because something just screwed up on me, and I'm bringing it back up. Not sure I can do it this way. So I'm going to get out of that again. And also, 1 second here. Closing you down. Bringing this up. Not that. Excuse me 1 second. This guy, this is what I want. Okay, I want this to start it up. That's what we want right there. Now, okay, so we're gonna come down here, say yes. Now we start up. Get rid of it. And then we have our planetarium back up, which is called Stellarium. Stellarium is free. You can get it online for free, and it's beautiful. Now we are looking at the rough location the telescope is looking. And as we zoom in, we see that we're actually a little to the left of that. Unfortunately, the telescope has to be realigned. It's pointing exactly where I want it to. And I'm sorry about my voice. And I do have to preserve my voice because I have to do a Sunday night before our radio show. I have to do a show over in England, the Howard Hughes show, which will be kind of fun. I've not done the show before. That should be neat.
Have you not?
I don't think I did. Do you remember me doing that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
I know the name. I've heard him interview a few people before. I thought maybe you were one of them. I guess not.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. And it's a 15-minute interview, 50, and then after that I will...
He's a really good host. You'll have a great time.
Oh, yeah, he sounds really nice. I listened to one of his broadcasts because I wanted to hear how he sounded. He's really gracious, a very nice guy. I'm glad you know him.
I do. Well, I mean, not personally, I don't think he'd know who I was, but I think he interviewed Richard C. Hoagland.
He did?
I thought they went back. Yeah.
Okay, pretty cool.
I can't remember who the other guests were because I listened to him a few times. That's why I was thinking you must have been one of them, but never mind. He's a good guest, though.
Okay.
I mean, host.
All right. Well, very good. I did not know that. So this, we were talking about before, this is the area of the sky we're looking at right here. Now you might say, well, where's that? And like I said, we can go over to our view here in Stellarium and see where that is. And it's right. Get the 3 stars right. Okay, it's right here. Let me see what that is right there. That's the star. We'll look for it. Astronomy is a lot of fun when you start digging for things, and star patterns all look the same after a while, which is kind of funny. It's like it makes you crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how you can tell them apart. Before this started, you were looking at, well, there's 3 here in an arc, and then there's one orange one up here high, and then they all look like a bunch of white dots to me.
Yeah, no, it's true. But we can find, if I look up Juno, okay, we can find Juno. All right, so we search for it, and it's going to be, was I that far off? Oh, yeah, look where I was. Okay, yeah, that's fair. And we searched for it before, we found it, and we looked at it right there, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to have our telescope just go to where it thinks it is. And we're going to go look for it now. And you'll notice that it's not moving that much because we're very near it. It's just sort of shuffling back and forth a little bit. We don't have our north, south, east, and west back yet, which means the telescope is still operating, still moving it toward Juno. And now we have our system back. So we have a star, which I'll just zop over here. We have a little red star there, and then down below we have Juno, and we have these 2 stars here. So let's go see if we can see that pattern. Okay, well, let's go to a 4K video mode. Let's go into a video mode here. And let's increase the sensitivity a little bit. Okay, well there, now you see a few differences. At 51,200, okay, we see this star here is probably that star there. So let's zoom in a little. And then we're going to drop down, and about halfway down we should see Juno with a couple of little stars around it. And as we come back, there's a star, we come down, and there's those couple stars, here's that triangle, and I think this right here is our elusive Juno. Okay, 1, 2, 3. See that? Come back here. 1, 2, 3. Our elusive Juno is right there. That's the asteroid. Now, if we come back and Amanda mentioned this earlier, if we come back in a couple hours and take another picture, it might look like it shifted a little, because Juno is in fact going this way across the sky, moving left or right to left. So we do have that going
But you
on.
were saying it was far away, and that's going to make a difference. We won't see the movement as much as we did
for the comet,
a week or two ago.
With the comet, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and am I right to assume a comet would be moving faster than an asteroid anyway, though?
Well, the comet at times is going to be much closer to us than the asteroid. So it will appear to be shooting across the sky, and it's moving in a very highly elliptical orbit around the sun in most cases. So that means as it gets closer to the sun, it's accelerating. Asteroids are generally in circular orbits. The ones that are Earth-crossing asteroids are closer to us. Those, many of those will ride in elliptical orbits. Some won't, but some of them do, actually. So there's Juno.
Can we account, like, you know, regardless of the distance, can we, like, still... there's a word on the tip of my tongue and I cannot spit it out. Like, if we take away how far they are, can we tell are comets faster than asteroids? Not because they're closer, but if we had them at the same location in the sky, which would move faster, or does it depend, or... Oh,
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, if you put comets where, if you put an asteroid where a comet was, okay, keeping all things the same, if you swap positions of an asteroid with a comet, the asteroid would be moving slower. Because the comet's gotten a lot closer to the sun and it's moving a lot faster. Okay? So, that wouldn't be a good idea, because we could end up possibly pulling that sucker toward us. Not a good plan. Not a good experiment. So, I want to welcome everybody.
No, I figured they could do it in a computer.
Yeah, maybe, right? I want to welcome you all to SkyTour LiveStream. And I want to thank you for supporting SkyTour LiveStream. It's been phenomenal. We got a lot of new subscribers, over 1,500.
I was just about to say, welcome to all of the new subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we got like almost 1,600 new subscribers overnight. I thought that was really, really cool. And so we're going to be having a good deal of fun looking at some of the objects nearby. And I do have to apologize for my voice, because I'm not really in very good shape right now with everything. But that's just because I have a little laryngitis, so I'm getting over it. Okay?
And yet he still does this for us. Isn't he great?
That's not what you were saying to me before we started. You were yelling. You were yelling at me, saying, "What are you screaming for? What are you, crazy?" I'm kidding, of course. But I want to say hi to Benny Loco and you, Danny Fan. Danny Fan, that's you, Amanda.
Hey.
And Ronald's here from ERRT Radio, and hi, Jen. Jen Miko's here. And Justin T. and Kathy Pernisek and Laura Hovey, thank you for coming. Pete Bods, Ray B, and Twin Flame Armor and Conditional 747. Okay, thanks. Good to see you guys.
Daryl just got here.
And Daryl's here?
I didn't think. Yeah, if you want a shout out, guys, you have to be actively typing in the chat. I know there's a lot more listening than what Mark just called out, but I think you have to be typing at least once every 15 minutes to be on the list. So if you missed your name, it was nothing personal.
Yeah, no, it's just not in the list yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be there.
No, I see that so often. People start to give out a shout out, and then all of these names just appear because they want a shout out too, but it doesn't listen until after the fact. So anyway,
True.
Just one of the things I noticed.
Daryl, what did you?
K, I don't know.
Daryl said, "I told you, Mark." What'd you tell me, Daryl? Daryl, tell me what you told me, because I don't know what you're talking about. I'll remember, of course, as soon as you tell me. That's typically how it goes, right?
Hi, Ted.
Ted's here. All right.
Hi, Cryptic Warrior. I don't know if you said him or not.
Yeah. Tom K. Thanks for providing objective analysis of the Pentagon UFO footage. I did do that. If you're talking about me, I don't know if you're talking to someone else in the chat who did that, but I also did that.
He would probably be talking to you then.
Well, maybe, but people carry on with each other, and I don't want to usurp their conversations. I don't know, but maybe he's talking about what I did. But I'll tell you, it's really it was fun, and you're always going up against people that think they have some kind of special connection to this person or that person. You got to always hear it from the military folks, that say, oh, well, my son's in the military, therefore I know everything. I get that a lot too. And if you don't respond well to their tossing their, puffing out their chest and tossing it around, then they up the ante and say, well, I'm also with the Majestic group, or I'm also this person, and I'm also that person. It's like, oh, it's so silly that they're all screaming, look at me, look at me. And I'm just sitting here quietly doing the image analysis work, not saying, look at me, except on nights like tonight where I'm saying, look at the sky, look at the universe. I think it's beautiful. And I'll tell you one thing. When I was a kid, and this is another one of those stories. I had a TV set in my room, just a small one that was sitting next to my bed. And I loved the stars so much. And I loved the Star Trek view screen where you'd just see the stars going by all the time. So what I did was I put a cover over the front of the TV screen of black cardboard, and I poked pinholes in it of various sizes. And I made a night sky. And then I just turned the TV on, turned the sound off, and just let the static in the background on like the in-between stations just make the stars twinkle. And I fall asleep to that every night. It was like a nightlight. It was the stars. It was beautiful.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was neat. And then Willow Wisteria from Lakeland, Florida. Hey, welcome. I got to say, I have some good friends down there in Lakeland. In fact, I stayed with them last time I was there. And I did a talk for them. So Lakeland is well known to me. And maybe you are one of those people, and that's just a different name. But that's cool. So the other thing I did when I was a kid, I liked the stars so much, like I said, and the Milky Way in particular. Well, I couldn't reproduce that cloudy, starry Milky Way scape, okay, in my little pinholes. Not without making it look unrealistic. So what I did was I actually got glow-in-the-dark paint, and it went on the ceiling of my bedroom. And I painted every single star of the winter night sky and the summer sky on my ceiling. You had the entire night sky with Milky Way. And I did it in 42 hours. And I went in my bedroom, I shut the door, blocked all the windows, and I started painting with glow-in-the-dark paint. I had star charts and a flashlight. I stayed in there for 42 hours. I didn't come out. Didn't eat. Didn't even sleep. I just stayed up and did the whole freaking sky in glow-in-the-dark paint. And I had a cape. My childhood home was a cape. And when I looked up in the sky afterwards on the ceiling, you'd swear, because it was a sloped roof at one side, you'd swear that the roof was lifted off the house. And it gave you vertigo. You actually got dizzy. And I knew, at that point, that my job was complete. I had finished my task. It was really cool. Then when I got to college, I painted my dorm room in this glow-in-the-dark paint. And people would come in, they wouldn't see it because it doesn't come on except at night. Then they come in at night, and now they're floating in a star field. I had stars on the floor, on the dressers, on the bed clothing, on the walls, ceiling. And they'd walk in and they would think, whoa, that like I'm floating. So of course my room became the room where all the partiers would go and just hang out because they wanted to be like spooked by these stars and feel like they're floating. So I've gone to the library. Jen, you're funny. I would do that. And when I came back from the library, like at 2 in the morning, there's people standing on one leg in the middle of my floor, like looking around. Really funny. You know, I had no idea what an impact it would have. So anyway, enough of that. Let me just see if we can actually go somewhere cool and look at something neat. I gotta first shut off the camera's video and go back to my other stuff. We saw Juno tonight, right in the middle there. Let's go to our wonderful, beautiful little, our nice little, yeah, there we go, our planetarium. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I want to take us over. Now, you know, of course, we're near Orion, so we have to go see something, right? I would say. And look, you can see there's a lot of deep sky objects here in Orion and around it, okay? And if we turn them off, it just looks like a bunch of stars, but there's a lot of things here to see. But I like to judge the night by the quality of the Orion Nebula. So let's go and check out the Orion Nebula right now, just to check it out and see what we got. Okay.
I was just about to ask where that was because I thought we were moving across the screen.
Okay. Well, we're zipping now.
I saw something bright and pretty, and it kind of looked purpley and blue. And I was about to say, "What? Stop before you move too far. What's that?" But
that's this.
The Orion Nebula. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Moving, so. That's very good. Hey, Rock, how you doing? Yeah. So, I just want to check my focus here. So I'm gonna. See if I can do that right now. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, okay. We got that. Okay, we're going to stop that. Use that was our 4K video mode just to check out the Orion Nebula. You can see what hides in the background, you know, which is kind of cool. And let's see. Let's just do a little bit of a focus view here. And we'll take this here, and let me just do this here first a minute. Okay, and we're going to move it over a little. Just a minute. Okay. Now we're going to run through the focus a little bit. You'll see these stars here. You're going to see them change in size a little bit as I run through the critical focus here. Okay, there they go. You can see that they're out of focus, and now they're going to fall into focus a little better. And they might bounce around a little bit as they do, because I have to go back and forth. It's an iterative process. And the best thing we can do is this. I have another technique for focusing on the stars, too, that I'm going to be doing soon. I was going to do it today, actually. It was going to be today's process. But unfortunately, my laser cutter in the shop broke down today. And I couldn't laser cut this special focusing assistance on the laser. So I had to just do it this way. So, but that's okay. Not a problem. I will do it this way. All right, now let's see here. Okay, so now we're going to turn this off. And go back to this. And now, again, for those who haven't been here before, for those that have, bear with me for a moment. For those joining us and who have never been in a SkyTour LiveStream, this here is the telescope operations control. It has focusing information. It has the telescope controls for controlling the telescope, and a variety of other things it can do. I can turn on and off the drive, so we can actually allow the telescope to drift across the sky. So if I hit that button, okay, you'll notice that the track turns off, and now the Orion Nebula has begun to drift. You're literally watching the rotation of the Earth as we rotate out from under it. Okay, I'm not doing that. The telescope's not moving. The Earth is. The telescope stopped moving, in fact. If I turn that back on, the telescope starts moving again. And it starts to track. All right? So that's actually what the telescope is doing. It's actually following the sky. So if you left it all night long, it'll go all the way around in a circle and come back up again. which is kind of cool. Anyway, so let's just do a 51,200 is too bright for right now. We're going to drop this exposure over here in this section. We're going to go down to 8,000 for 15 seconds. Why not? All right. And we will take a photo and check out the Orion Nebula tonight. And this will also tell me if I got the stellar focus right, you know, because once I do, it pretty much stays the same. Hey, Dave Schmidt, how's it going over there in Bangkok? Charles, good to see you. Yeah, it's looking really pretty. And when we talk about trying to get focus on the stars, what do? Well, the first thing we can do is we zoom in on one of the smaller stars. Okay, and you can see, okay, they're little. The smaller stars, let me just get out here enough to, let's pick this one right here. Okay, so you can see these little stars. We actually have some pretty good focus here. I'm going to drop down the sensitivity just enough so that we can actually go back and take another picture without so much of this grain in it. All right, I'm going to do that. So I'm dropping the sensitivity over here from 8,000 down to 800. Okay, and we'll take another 15-second exposure and then compare the two, and I'll show you the difference. The Orion Nebula is beautiful. And that reddish glow is the hydrogen alpha, okay, that we're seeing. Okay, oh, we got a little motion out there. You see these little dashes there. Okay, that's actually from some wind. This is pretty, though. If you notice, you see the modeling in there? That's stunning. And you can see these 4 stars of the trapezium. They're supposed to be round. I'm going to do another photo. In fact, let's just go back real quick. Don't pay attention. Just hit that. Okay. Now we're taking another photo, and now we can go back and talk about this. So another photo is being done.
I like the colors of this one.
Yeah, this is pretty because it shows you, the different colors. Actually,
like that blue really stands out with the kind of gray background.
Yeah.
It always reminds me of like an angel holding a something.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, here's our new shot that came in without you even noticing. And you'll see that the smaller stars are looking pretty good. So I think we did get a good focus. So that makes me happy. But take a look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is just so pretty. I like this area. But we're not seeing the whole thing, obviously. That's the problem. It's just... it's just... we're not seeing the whole thing. But we could go back, okay, to our lovely little screen here. And we could take and knock it down, or actually bring it up, I should say, to, say, 1200. 1250 and do 15 seconds and see the difference between 800 and 1250 sensitivity. It's kind of important to see the difference in how this looks because you need to understand how cameras work, I think, before you start taking pictures on your own. Look at that difference, okay? So we really went from this, okay, there's the one at 800, to this, 1250. Note the difference. Now we see this here that comes in. When the other shot, it was looking kind of like a star, and you could see a little hint of it. But we don't see that in earnest until we get here. Then we can actually see some convolutions in it. We can see a little bit more of the modeling in this part of the Orion Nebula. Now you can almost see the three-dimensionality here in this part of the Orion Nebula. And that's something else that's very important too, is seeing this almost three-dimensional nature to this side, this wing, so to speak, And I've told you this before. The Orion Nebula goes all the way around here. This all connects, and we can show you. I can show you that actually. We can just do an exposure for that, and you can see it. But man, it's really pretty, and this nebula is the home of new solar systems, new star systems, I should say. You know, hey TikTok, welcome to SkyTour LiveStream. Thanks for coming in.
Now, Daryl said if I ever saw this live through an eyepiece, I would probably cry. What objects have you brought you to near tears? I know some have been absolutely stunning for you and taking your breath away, so...
Yeah, I mean, seeing the impact of Comet Shoemaker-Levy on Jupiter and knowing that there was this cataclysmic event that, had it hit the Earth, would destroy the Earth utterly, happening at Jupiter, was just an amazing thing for me. I was watching Jupiter protect us, and that was really, really an amazing thing to see. I mean, that's obviously one thing and the first thing, but there have been many things, like watching, for instance, seeing for the first time, seeing the double cluster in Perseus. Okay, that was just stunning, you know, and it was so much fun to see and so beautiful, you know. And I'm going to try and look at this thing with some little processing, so I'm going to just change the...
That's a nice picture.
Excuse me. I know you like this picture. I'm going to change a few settings here.
So it's nice to see all the different shades of blue it could be, you know.
Yeah, but check this out. You know, this kind of shows you how, like, when a picture is developing on the sensor of a camera, first you just see the stars. Okay, but then more and more of this other data comes in, and then you start seeing more. This is all an artifact out here when you're seeing this stuff now. It's kind of an artifact, okay, from the process we're using. But what I'm getting at is that we don't need to see all that. Okay, typically we can actually have our settings at a reasonable rate, a reasonable set of settings like this. And now you can actually see a lot of the convolutions out here in the nebula, which are actually subtle, very subtle. You can see the wispiness, the nature, the soft wisps in the Orion Nebula right here. Things that you might not otherwise see, you know. So I think that's pretty cool. So now if we'll jump back to our beautiful settings here. And now I'm going to move our telescope around just a little bit. And we're going to move north a little bit now. So we're going to slide up north, say goodbye to the Orion Nebula for just a few minutes.
Bye. Oh, we'll miss you.
Okay, there we go. And then we're going to move a little bit toward the west. Okay. And now we have stars. Well, is it all there is? Well, some of you who know the sky know very well that that's not all there is. So let's go take our ISO, our sensitivity, and pump it up here a little bit. Let's go to 10,000 for 15 seconds. And let's confirm that the telescope has stopped. It has. So off we go into the wild blue yonder. Here we go. Hey Sherry K, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. If you didn't join us right away, if you didn't join us, man, we're gonna call you and just drag you in. Whoops, I got a little zoom going on there. Yeah, look at that. This is the Running Man Nebula, just north of the Orion Nebula. And if we do a little processing on it, we can see what it looks like here. Let me just do this. Okay. And there we are. And now I'm going to just do some color corrections to give us another idea of what else it may look like. Little dynamic image processing here going on. Wow, that's something. Looks very pretty. Very, very pretty. I like this little area right here. This is a dark bubble of dust that is kind of just overlapping this reflection emission nebula. There's a reflection component of just reflected starlight off of dust, And then there's a component which is caused by the excitation of hydrogen atoms. You can sort of see a little bit of the reddish areas here. But to see it best of all, we have to come back and take another photograph of it. And I'd like to do that by just adding a few 20 seconds, add 5 seconds to this, and add a few stops to this. So we'll say, we'll go to 20,000 for 20 seconds, okay? So off we go. Let's check it out in a very short time. So, moments from now, we shall see it.
Yes, Mark has laryngitis, and yet he still does this for us.
Yeah,
So
Sherry,
please
sorry.
hit those thumbs up, tell a friend.
Yeah, I'm sorry I lost my voice. But it sounds good compared to the other day, I can tell you that. It really does.
I mean, the throat sounds sore, but when you cough, oh, I feel the pain.
No, you don't. I feel it. Nah, just kidding.
I'm
It's
very empathic.
Yeah, that's very kind, actually. I'm okay. You know what it is? I can tell you this. I look at stuff like this. I look at like these things, like the Running Man Nebula. I want to be there. I want to go there. I want to check this place out. I want to know what it's like to be here. In the Running Man Nebula.
I'm sure I've asked you this many times in the past, but can we see exoplanets? Or is the closest one just still too far?
Yeah, even the closest one to us is still too far. I mean, think about it. We have telescopes on Earth that can, not the research telescopes, not SkyTour LiveStreams, but the average run-of-the-mill telescope can't really see Pluto too well. It's very faint in some of these telescopes. See what I mean? So that's an issue. But still, exoplanets have their own problems. Okay, this shows the red area just a little better. Do you see? Okay, because right here we see this reddish area here. There's a little red there, a little red down here. These are the areas in the Running Man where the stars are hot enough to excite these hydrogen atoms to blow their electrons off. And when the electrons come back, they give off light as they re-enter the atom. That's called recombination. And when they do that, the light is this characteristic reddish color. So it's really pretty. In fact, let me see if I can cozy that up a little bit more here. Hold on one second on this. Let's see. Well, see, I can make them all different colors. I mean, there it looks like a hydrogen alpha region, but it's not. Okay, but if I bring it back to where it belongs.
Now, what if, I mean, other than you just knowing, what if, like, someone came in and played with all your settings? Would you know how to set it back automatically to what it's really supposed to look like?
Yeah, I can do that. Like, in an instant, I can do a reset on everything, of course.
Well, that's not what I meant. Not just a reset, but I mean...
Well, knowing what's
would you know by eye? Would you be pretty accurate on what true colors they're supposed to be in different objects?
Fairly, as long as I'm familiar with the object, as long as I know what it is. If I know it's a planetary nebula, then I know I'm going to see some greenish blue from the second, the doubly ionized oxygen that's in there that's causing that greenish blue color. So I'd have to bring that greenish blue color out. And where would it be? Well, it'd mostly be in the envelope, the main part of that nebula, like the dumbbell. I wish the dumbbell was out now so I could show you, but that's the whole key, is trying to figure these things out. And it took us a long time to, we learned about spectroscopy looking at the spectrum in the middle of the 1800s. That's when Fraunhofer discovered that the sun was, showing us these dark lines in its spectrum. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Excuse me. So yeah, we learned about the spectrum then. And so when we know about the spectrum, we can actually detect what atoms are giving off this light. And for the blue light, we noticed that, well, it was just reflection. Okay, but for the red light in a nebula, we're seeing that we're getting this emission of light. And so we see, that's why these are called emission nebulae. That's why the Orion Nebula is an emission/reflection nebula. It has blue components, and it has the red. And they will cause, they're caused by different things. This blue is perfect, just pure reflection off of dust. And the red is just the emission, the actual emission line. And we take a spectrum, which we will with the SkyTour LiveStream instrument, not tonight, but over the next couple months. You'll see that the Orion Nebula, for instance, or any other nebula, glows in a particular color, and maybe a pair of colors. And that's interesting to me, that we actually have that. But I'm going to move us to another object here shortly, so I'm just going to rest my voice for a moment while we do that. Actually, if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them up in the chat.
In a way, it's a good idea because you can rest for a moment, but in a way, it's a bad idea because you're the one that's going to be answering them all, so...
But... you know what?
I'll let you know.
And
I see you have chat up too, but
doesn't matter. I'm looking at my instruments and the other stuff. I'm not looking.
I know.
You know, you can see me on my little operations window down here. You can see I've got stuff going on all over here. I've actually gotten rid of one little computer. I had the iPad up here too with other incidental information I wanted to share, but that stuff's in my head, so I don't need that. Still, it's kind of cool. So I'm going to take us now to my favorite little place, and that's over here. Let's zoom out here.
Pete just said this is the music from Secure Team. Is it really? Gross.
Well, this is actually, this is a YouTube's royalty-free stuff.
Yeah.
So Secure
Well, yeah,
Team...
I figured that, but I didn't know this is what they picked.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
Gross. Ew, a lot of people knew that. That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, but it does work nice with space. I mean, and that's what Jenny was saying, you know. And she's right.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay. Let me see what we got here. This is... well, this is a little...
You sit back and listen to the music, rest your voice.
I know, but I gotta check things out. I'm moving over to NGC 2282 here for a minute, so I'll do that and I'll pop over and show you what's going to it over here. Here, we're zooming by the stars. And there we go. As you can see, we're pulling into some star fields here. Very faint right now. But they won't be for long. All right, so now we're going to do a 20-second at 20,000 here again. It's too bad you guys weren't with us earlier. I was sitting right on top of Juno, and horizontally across the field, a satellite went through. And then just about 10 seconds later, a polar orbiter went vertically through the top to bottom, went through the field of view. Right in the same view. I mean, that was crazy. Really cool. Oh, okay, I know what that red means. That red means that I am right at the... see, I've got the... if you notice a telescope view over here. Okay, the telescope is right at the edge of the dome. I went over a little too far, so I'm going to have to go nudge the dome a little bit. And mind you, I am working on the dome rotation mechanism still. In fact, I just had it out a few minutes ago to try and look at what I would need. So I got it pretty well under control. And for those that are interested, I'm going to use an Arduino to control the a ratcheting motor that's going to rotate the dome on a track. And it's actually just a temporary setup. That's why I'm using Arduino. For permanent setup, I'm going to make a whole different building structure entirely. And that's for the Arizona setup. Yes, Daryl, it is. That's what I mentioned before. I got to run out and move the dome. I have the red light on in the dome specifically so I can see when the dome's in the way. Do you see? You can actually see the red. And that's sort of like a little visual clue for me. But I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to go out and do exactly what I said. I'm going to go move the dome a little bit. You can see in the photo over here. Okay, you can see that the telescope is kind of pointing a little too far to the left. But I want to get to those things, man. But I'll be right back. Amanda, you have the con.
I'm just waiting for him to clear it before I start talking. I got nothing, guys. So I'm going to give some shameless plugs to my good friend Ronald over at Earth Radio. For the newcomers, you might not know him, but for a lot of the regulars out there, our good friend Bill over in New York, Bill Skywatcher, he is starting a show tonight. It's going to be the debut episode of Midnight Metal Madness, the Midnight Metal Madness show. It's going to be starting at midnight Eastern every Friday night from here on in. Most shows will be live. Tonight, unfortunately, it had to be a pre-record, but it's going to be a great show. It's not all going to be like heavy death metal or anything like that, so don't be afraid. It's going to be a lot of classic rock, just good old rock and roll, and yeah, some heavy metal, but who can't deal with a bit of that? I think it's going to be great. He did a sample a few nights ago. Was that Tuesday night, maybe? Played for about an hour, and I liked every single song he played. So please, if you can, I'm going to drop the link in chat again. Actually, I think I still have it. Yeah, it's mixler.com. You're looking for Earth Radio, ERRT radio, Earth Radio. So come and join the chat. It's going to be awesome. There's a chat just like this one, so you'll probably see a few familiar faces there. I'll be there. Bill is producing KGRA over the weekends, as many of you know, so it's going to be after his shows at KGRA are over. He's going to come over to Earth Radio and play live. Not tonight, but in the future. And after SkyTour Radio, Sunday nights on KGRA, speaking of, after that, I'm going to start playing the Sunday Night Funnies. I'm going to find a stand-up routine from a famous comedian and throw that on for an hour and a half or 2 hours after SkyTour Radio Sunday nights. That's also on Earth Radio, so come on by. You might have a good time.
That's right. Your Earth Radio thing is after a
I had
radio
nothing.
show.
I plugged Bill's show for most of the time. And then
No, that's so cool. That's okay. That's okay.
the Sunday Night Funnies, I grew up listening to radio, and Sunday nights had the Sunday Night Funnies, and then they had Theater of the Mind. If I could find some old radio shows, I would love to play those too, but
I'd like to hear old Dr. Demento radio shows. I'm Dr. Demento. Hello, all you Dementoids and Dementites. How many people remember Dr. Demento?
I never saw him, but that does sound familiar.
Never saw him.
I think it might have been.
You've probably been like 3.
What year?
Probably you were not. You're probably 3 years old.
No, what year were they out?
I don't remember. He was one guy. I don't remember Dr. Demento.
Oh, I thought
Daryl might. KMET. Yeah, Charles makes a comment here. I want to say, what he loves about science in general is it's like a giant puzzle. It all fits together. Even math. Well, okay. The universe speaks math. Okay, that's what its language is. It speaks with the language of math. Okay, and that's how we discover the science. All right, and it's really a beautiful thing. It's just a stunning revelation after revelation after revelation when it comes to science. Okay, and I just think that it's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna come down here I've never looked for this little tiny reflection nebula. And I'm going to bring us back to here just to see where we might have, where we might find it. Okay. It's in here somewhere. So we come back to our, right, and let's just go there. I think I'm already there, but I may not be. It's moving around a little bit. So it's in here somewhere. I may have to go to a higher setting here. Let's do 32,000 for 20 seconds and see what we get. And off we go. That's what's nice about this new setup. I don't have to stay in this one place. Now I can actually go over to our previous shot here and check out all the details that we might be able to find. Okay, you'll see that there's something going on in here. You can see clearly there's some kind of nebulous material. And we also see a glow around that star. And I believe that's the little glow we're talking about. It's a little reflection nebula. The Running Man is an example of a large reflection nebula. And this little guy is an example of a small one. Sitting out here. Really pretty. Really pretty, and it's just an amazing location. See, the sky has all these little gems hidden in it, and we just don't know. But if you look at all the stars, look at the stars, my gosh. There's so many stars here. You know? And I think that it's amazing to see them all here like this. I will tell you this, I am not... I've never been bored of the night sky. Never. In a million years, never been bored. Okay? So let's go over now to our stellarium view. And let's go back out a bit. And that's where we were. Back out a little more. A little more. And you'll see that we've got tons and tons. We've got the Rosette Nebula up there. The Rosette may or may not show well tonight, but we will look for it.
Ted wants to see Haggard's dragon.
He does, huh?
If we could, if it's up and...
Yeah, it is. It's right around here. Hagrid's Dragon Cluster. There it is. And let's go check it out. All right, we'll go. Right now, Ted,
Hey.
just for you. Here you go, Ted. Here comes Hagrid's Dragon Cluster. Well, there's something there already, huh? You can see the telescope is moving in the dome over there. We have that all going. Telescope is still working. It's still closing in on the cluster. That's why you see it'll dance around a little bit and do a little hunt sometimes. But once we know it's there, we can actually disengage, you know, and then we can actually move it up a little bit, okay, and then we can take a look at it. So let's do 15 seconds at 32,000 for now and see what we get. Okay, so I'm really I'm pleased with the night. It's just beautiful. I mean, going from all the rain we had, I almost had a clear night yesterday. I actually thought I was going to get a clear night yesterday. And there it is. There's Hagrid's Dragon Cluster right there. And let's just go over here into the view where we can see it better. You'll see those. You saw those little areas here that were getting like covered and fixed. Well, for instance, if we go up to this object, okay, and then just jump back, you'll see Hagrid's Dragon Cluster. You see the noise being eliminated here. That's the algorithm I've got going in the background that's actually eliminating the noise that doesn't belong there. But that's the raw value of what we're seeing there. This is the raw value of what we're seeing. And then this is the improved value that doesn't remove any of the other data. It just takes out the noise. That's a very, very specific algorithm for this. That's important. Because look, you can see it now as a real thing and not just like this thing full of noise. All right, and the stars look pretty good. I got a little bit of motion a little bit out there. Might have been a little wind. Okay. Oh, righteous. I just have a touch of laryngitis. But I went to the doctor, and I talked to him again yesterday. And if I don't improve by the beginning of the week, then they're gonna do some more, because I don't need an antibiotic. Not at this point. This is a viral thing, and you just gotta let it run its course. Antibiotics don't work on those. So it sounds worse than it is, but talking does hurt the vocal cord. I only have one vocal cord. That's the other thing. That's why it was such an important thing to get this taken care of. Laryngitis swells your vocal cords. That's how it works. And when you only have one vocal cord because the other one's dead and it's just lingering in the airway, you already have an obstructed airway. And now when your vocal cords begin to swell, then you have even less air you can breathe. So it was kind of important. It's kind of important to keep yourself, on the mend with this. You don't want let it get the best of you. I had visions of having to intubate myself, go down past the vocal cords with a tube into my lungs, and I would never, want to do that because, but it could happen. Just not now. I'm doing fine. Hagrid's Dragon, just as requested. And now, Cosmic Lettuce. You're darn right. I'm staying in my warm room. Hey, you've written software for this, I think it was Stewart Telescope, for the guys at Stewart. Because I think who Doug Trumbull is. He's obviously the legendary visual effects guy. And Doug and I have been very good friends for 6 years, and he's on the board at Stewart Observatory. And I was down in Tucson doing a talk, and he was doing the annual meeting at Stewart Observatory there, nearby mountain. And Doug and I got together, and I had him meet the people that I was staying with, and they were thrilled to meet the man who did Close Encounters of the Third Kind and 2001: A Space Odyssey, Blade Runner. They were even Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which was not a very good movie. Okay. Yep. So anyway, now you might say, well, how is this a dragon? I can't begin to tell you. People, they saw things in the sky that were very different from what we see. Very different. And I think it's really kind of cool that they had these imaginations, even without, the drugs that people take to see things that aren't really there sometimes, But, it takes all kinds. And I'm just pleased to see that, we haven't forgotten that heritage and that culture. So now let's go. That's Hagrid's Dragon. And we're going to just continue poking through Monoceros, the unicorn. That's why Monoceros. And let's go to the Headhunter cluster, shall we? That looks like fun. Jewels in the winter sky. And away we go. Let's see it. Zing, bada bing. Excuse me, guys. I didn't mean to cough in your collective ears. Nice. Are we working here? Or shut off? Okay. And we have our sound back here. It's not sound. We have our telescope back. So let's do a picture. Let's go down to 25.6 at 15 seconds. What do you say? I got to get consensus from everybody. We're not going to do it. No, I'm just kidding. So here we go. 25,600 sensitivity at 15 seconds. Amanda, did you say something?
No.
You sure did. You just said no.
Would you like me to say something?
Sure, say something.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Oh, I don't know. Well, there it is, right there in the center. Look at that little tiny headhunter cluster. It's such a cool little thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it really is. Look at that. And that's just right there in the center. hope you guys like the little processing that I throw in there to kind of show it a little better as we move into it. Okay, pull up there a little bit. It's a little bit off, but you can see it there. What a beautiful little cluster. Just beautiful. And it's hidden in the night sky. Never see it unless you were looking for it. Amazing. Just amazing. Yeah. Now I want to mention something too about like the stars, and this is something I wanted to do with you before, but I didn't do it. Let's just pick a star here, okay? This is what's called Plaskett's star. Oh, cosmic! You know what? It's actually more distant. They're all formed in the same in the same amount of space. Okay, that's the way they're formed, and then they migrate away as they orbit the galaxy. So it's actually smaller, not intrinsically smaller. It's smaller. I'm sorry, it's more distant, not intrinsically smaller. That was what I meant. So I got
just about to ask you about that.
What's that?
I was just about to ask that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No,
I see it came up and highlighted for you though.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Cosmic and I have a few things we're going to talk about. We haven't met yet and talked, but we've conversed in email. There's a few things. You know, when I move the observatory to Arizona, I would like to see if he wants to be part of it.
Is he in Arizona?
Yes, he is.
Sorry, guys. I'm really, really bad with places where everybody is.
Well, that's because you're from Canada, you know, eh?
Maybe. You know what? I think if I was American, it would just make more sense where different states are. I don't know where any of the states are in the country, and not sure about time zones.
I can't even name all the Canadian states and provinces.
Yeah, we don't have states, period.
There you go. See, that's why I can't name them.
Provinces and territories.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway.
So this star I picked up here...
This is astronomy, not geography.
No, that's fine, though. I mean, it's just geography of the night sky. So this star, Plaskett star that we picked, it's up here, okay? And I'm going to show you a little chart here to help us, you know, when we talk about, like, why the stars are these different colors. Well, I'm going to bring this up now, and I think this is something that will help you out. This is called the B-V chart. And we're only going to look at this first column, B-V. These are color systems, the way we determine colors of stars. In astronomy, we have the B-V, the U-B, V-R, and R-I. Now, B, if you think of it as sort of like the blue, and V is the apparent magnitude, okay? It's like what it appears to be in the sky. And with the blue, you subtract what it appears. And what's left gives you what we call the color index of a star. Now, Plaskett star here, if you look over here, and well, if I had not destroyed it, if I go back to it, Plaskett star, you'll see it has a B-V value over here of 0.00. Well, that's interesting. So we come over and we look at where that is, and we see that in the chart here, okay, in the chart, when we look at Plaskett star, okay, let me do this again. Okay, we see that the B-V color of 0.00 doesn't exist here, but it's close to A0V, A05, right? These are remember the A0. Well, actually, I have another chart to help you with that. Okay, and Amanda, you're going to tell us. If you recall, we have what we call a Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, right? And it gives the different types of the stars and shows how they evolve. But you know the types of the stars across the bottom row, Amanda, and I think you should tell everybody.
The spectrum?
You know, the colors, the spectral classes of the stars. You know them.
Are you talking about the 1 through 5, A's and B's?
No, I'm talking through of the...
Or are you talking about like O, B,
yes.
A, F, G, K, M?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, the spectral classification
Spectral
is what I call it.
classifications. Yeah,
Maybe
that's
I
what
was
it is.
saying it wrong.
No, it's okay. Spectral classes, yeah. And that's
There's
this...
O, B, A, F, G, K, M.
That's
and it
right.
stands for O, be a fine guy, kiss me. Or O, be a fine girl, kiss me.
There you go.
Reference.
And this is, yeah, and this is...
It worked for me. After all this time, I still remember it, so it does work.
Yeah.
Oh, be a fine guy, kiss me. Oh, be a fine girl,
and
kiss
here
me.
It is.
Whichever.
And this is that chart right here. So we look at the temperature across the bottom here, okay? And we actually see, like when we look at these, when we look at the stars, okay? We look across the bottom here and you see O, B, A, F, G, K, M. And it changes the color. Now I rendered this in one of my products here because I was using this in a talk, okay? But this is actually a very interesting device for us because it tells us for the brightness of a star compared to its color, we noticed that a lot of the stars ended up on this snaky line down the middle. The snaky line down the middle is called the main sequence. And that's the area where all normal stars exist. Those are what are normal stars? Stars that will fuse hydrogen into helium primarily. Those are the normal stars. Those normal fusers are on the main sequence. The sun is right here. It's in there, okay? And that's why it says 1 here and G. Okay, we're a G2 star. But if they're not on the main sequence, okay, the main sequence has the Roman numeral V associated with it, okay? But if they're not on the main sequence, there's another Roman numeral associated with them. As they get bigger, they can be a type 3, Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 1, okay? Supergiants and giants, subgiants down here is type 4, IV, you know. And then these, down here, the white dwarfs, these are a specialty class of stars that are long since dead. Their cores are not fusing anymore, and they're just wasting residual heat left over from everything they've been through to the universe. Their surfaces are mostly carbon and oxygen atoms. So it's very interesting. And so this chart is something that we lived by, and we actually did a lot of classifications based on the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. And it was created by Ejnar Hertzsprung and Henry Norris Russell when they noticed this relationship right here we're talking about around the main sequence running down the center. Very, very cool. And that's, like stars like Rigel are up here, and things like that. They're very, very different. Okay, so, but they're very hot. And stars up here are very hot, don't last long, and they will disappear very quickly when they explode as supernovae. One moment, I'll be right back.
Okay.
What's up? Oh, you need batteries? Okay.
And while Mark's away, just talking to Jenny in chat there, I always figured, because if you go to a tap, usually the hot water has red and the cold tap has blue. And you think, fire, hot, red, cold, ice, blue, So I just figured red had to be hotter. But then if you think of a flame, like a fire or a candle or a lighter or something, the really, really hot part is actually blue.
Yeah.
And then as the flame goes out and cools down, it actually turns red. So blue is the hottest.
That's right. And we characterize stars as what we call black bodies. What's a black body radiator? A black body basically is an object that absorbs all the incident radiation hitting it and then re-radiates it. And stars act like black bodies. They act like perfect black bodies. Not entirely perfect, obviously, because they are variable. They do their own things in a lot of ways. But these nearly perfect black bodies radiate, and depending on their mass, their temperatures, they radiate at a certain specific wavelength or frequency, right? That translates to color, like we see over here in the B minus V diagram. Okay, it translates to color, and we can use a interesting little law that we call Wien's law, W-I-E-N-S, Wien's law, and basically it gives you the primary frequency emitted by a star if you know the color, basically. So you get the primary temperature, you can get the temperature of the star basically, which is kind of neat, or vice versa. And so it's sort of a neat little law. Great deal of fun to play with, And you can lose a lot of time exploring stars that way because there's a lot of stars. Anyway, so there's our little charts for tonight. Okay, class is over. You're all dismissed. No, I was kidding. So when you think about, and Daryl gives you the example of an oxyacetylene torch, okay, I did oxyacetylene welding in college. I actually took that as a course to just do some fun things, all right, because I never did any oxyacet before. I wanted to make little sculptures, so I took it, and it seems like any new thing I do, I always find a way to really, really hurt myself with it. So in oxyacetylene, we had these copper rods that we would use to, weld stuff together. And while I was welding one together, I saw this little piece spit off and fall down on the table, hiss and pop, bounced off the table, hit me in the chest, immediately drilled a hole in my shirts, the t-shirt and the outer shirt, and started burrowing into my chest. So I'm like going, ah! And I had to whip off my shirt right there in the middle of the art class and try to push this molten hot ball of copper spitting in my skin back out onto the floor, which I did. And man, really, really not a very pleasant thing. However, I made some really cool sculptures with oxyacetylene, and the temperatures were very hot. And the flame, if you add more oxygen, it changes the temperature of the flame and what it can do. And so I always had a problem with that part of it. I didn't get it right, from the mechanics point of view. But anyway, interesting, a lot of fun, unless you were burning yourself. So let's go back here now and let's see what we might want to do here. Actually, I was premature. I want to bring us back here because I want to find some other places to go. I like to think about going to, and I haven't forgot about this, don't worry. Okay, we'll go to the Rosette. Why not? We're going to focus on the Rosette and the cluster right here.
Actually, James Dugan wanted to know, can you see M6 from the States? NGC 6405.
NGC 6405?
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out. Let's go see.
6405.
NGC 6405, you said? Yes?
6405, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that doesn't look too promising, being that it's almost directly at the bottom of our view. It's directly below us, actually. That's kind of interesting. It's directly below us.
It's in a few months.
Well, we won't be able to see it even then because it's actually down below our horizon. Unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately.
It's the butterfly cluster.
Way down, yeah. Way down. Okay, so we bring back our objects here. And I was going to take us to the Rosette for now, just to check it out. And here we go to the Rosette Nebula. You always recognize a Rosette by this beautiful cluster in the center. And that's, oh, no, don't worry about it, James. That's fine. Please do ask, though. And so the Rosette Nebula is actually home to this cluster. In fact, it was formed here. And the Rosette Nebula stars actually, with their powerful stellar winds when they were young, were blowing this material away. And it sort of cleared the center area of the cluster. The Rosette's got a bit of a low surface brightness, but I'll attempt to get a shot of it. It's still a little bit in the murk right now, but I think why not? Let's give it a shot, shall we? And with our tools here, we might be able to show it. I'll do 51,200 for 30 seconds. Before I do that, I'm just going to check that we're okay here. We are. I'm actually going to move us north a little bit because some of the brighter regions of this cluster, or this nebula, are over here. And there's some beautiful dark lanes right here that I think if we could see them, that'll be kind of cool too. So here we go. Off we go into the wild rosette yonder. Vixra, thank you for the mathematical equation. I don't think anybody in the chat even knows what an erg is, Vixra, but that's okay. We used to measure the power output of the sun, for instance, in ergs. It was a strange thing, and when I first heard the name erg, I went, erg, you know, like, what's that, you know? Okay, so here we go. And let me just bring down the music a tad here. Not to be overpowering. Okay, now I've added a little bit of processing here. I'm going to show you what that does for us in just a second. So when we come over here, and now if I take and drop down, okay, again, very low surface brightness on this nebula, so it's a little bit harder to see, but that's okay, because this way we'll be able to study it a little bit more closely. So, looking at the Rosette Nebula here, the cluster is here, and it extends out quite far. But you can see some knots of nebulous here, nebulosity here. You can see some linear trails here of stuff. Some of this stuff is very, very faint and fine. It's so cool to try and examine it. And I've got some photos I took of the Rosette. And I stacked about 30 photos. And it came out okay, but not as dark as it could. And again, that's why the hunger inside of me for the dark Arizona skies is so overpowering. I could take a much shorter photograph and capture the Rosette down there, but you can see the brightness here. All right. Now understand, I'm also what the hell is this? I don't know who that is. You still there?
I'm here.
Okay, I had a Skype call coming in from somewhere else, and I don't know why they were calling me.
Do you know who it was?
I don't. And I didn't want to bring them into the stream and have them say, oh, sorry, wrong number. I didn't know. They'll probably say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of you. So I don't know who they were. It's okay, but this, again, as I say, you can see the overall shape of the Rosette here starting to shape out here. Okay, here's sort of like the brighter area of it. It looks really pretty up here. Okay, you know, it's really nice up here, and when you do more processing, it'll end up coming out even better. But you know what? We'll move on because it's going to be a little bit. It's low brightness. Ideally, what you do is now you move over to this side. And you take another one of this area, move down below, take another one of this whole area down here, then over here, then you put them together. That's how I did it last time. It's a very, very large area. Alternatively, we could do it with our f5 refractor on the piggybacked on the scope and photograph the entire thing into the whole. And it's actually pretty big in that field, but it fills the field. So not bad, you know, not a bad thing at all. Led us to go to our planetarium program. I hope you guys liked that little transition that we do. We jump to the planetarium and move around, and then you see a context for where we are in the sky, which is where, well, if we pull out, here's Orion. Okay. If we turned off the lines and we turned off the deep sky, then we just have some stars. Okay. But we could also turn on the mythology, and I know you do. And there you can see Orion here. Okay, Betelgeuse is here, Bellatrix, the belt of Orion, and his sword, and then Scythe and Rigel, and then this is Monoceros, the unicorn, all right, and then we have Procyon, the little dog, And then we have Castor and Pollux, the Gemini twins, Cancer.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, you have a fond kinship for the Gemini twins.
I am. I can relate.
Yeah, you can. So anyway, that's...
I'm kind of schizophrenic.
No, you aren't. Yes, you are. No, you aren't. Yes, you are. So then...
that sums it up.
All right. So there we go. That's a little bit of that. You know, so this is where we are in the sky, that blinking area. Okay. Turn it all off with this. And now we can go zip it in. We'll bring out some more of our deep sky objects. See how they go down here? They go right down through the winter Milky Way. Okay. Now here's one we can go to, which I think is a lot of fun. And it's really, really pretty. We've done Hubble's Variable Nebula, but let's do this guy. Because I actually was successful in taking a picture of this last time. And you can actually see a beautiful reflection / emission nebula here. Beautiful area of the night sky. So let's go there. And we'll see that we're whipping our way over there now. Hey Cosmic, thanks for joining us. I'll feel better, don't worry. So good night, man. I'll talk to you later. That's it, yeah. Saif is the other UV star. Yeah. What is a UV star? It's an ultraviolet primarily. High ultraviolet stars tend to be very young, but sometimes you just get these UV sterilizers, basically. And that's what we have with Saif. Okay, let me shut my ding down. We're all set there. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, and now let's say 30 seconds at 51,200 one more time for this. Okay. Remember, no shot in SkyTour LiveStream is longer than 30 seconds. And the reason is because I don't want to make you sit around and wait. I think there's so much to see here. Oh, you mentioned the Christmas tree, Daryl? I did not see that. I'm sorry.
I don't think you mentioned it in this chat. Did he? I hope not. Sorry, Daryl, if you did. I missed it.
Yeah, he's right, too, if you notice, folks. We have Daryl on SkyTour Radio with us, folks, in case if you didn't notice. Daryl will sometimes come on with us because he has a wealth of knowledge. He's wonderful to talk to. He's an easygoing guy, kind of like I am in that regard. So I think we kind of have hit it off. He's a very generous person too. He doesn't like me saying any of that stuff. You know, he gets all embarrassed. Well, too bad. You know, if the shoe fits, you wear it, man. You know, he's a good human being. So I just wanted to welcome him as I always do, but with a little extra special flair because he's kind of one of the special guys that helps us out here.
Yeah, such a help, yeah.
Yeah, no, he'll be on SkyTour Radio this weekend with us.
Yes, he will.
Yep, he agreed anyway. I hope he's not going to back out and say that he's got to go to McDonald's or something.
I don't think he eats at McDonald's.
That's the joke.
I hope not, anyway.
Yeah, that's the joke. I don't think he would. Okay, yeah, our telescope is doing well over here. We're pointing out of the dome just fine. Okay. We got that Christmas tree cluster, and we got a little bit of trailing right there. So we're going to go back and do this again. I probably didn't wait the prescribed amount of time before doing that. All right, so let's do another shot. All right, it's on its way. And then we can play around with some of the features and settings and see if we can do some live image processing. And I hope you like the live image processing that we do. You watch it go from a sort of a faded, not uncertain object into something more substantial. I think Daryl's going off the deep end. He's got some kind of slave. He's got an Orion slave girl from, like, you know, Christopher Pike's era. She must be old. Danny, Amanda, you don't even get that, so it's okay. What?
That's a Star Trek thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's the green Orion slave girls. It says no man could resist them.
I heard.
What's that?
I've heard about them.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, let's do a little processing on this so we can see what we're looking at. Oh, that's what we're looking at. So you'll notice that this is called the Christmas tree cluster. But you'll notice now, if you look right here, you can see this beautiful blue reflection nebula immersed within an H2 region, what we call the hydrogen alpha, or that red emission nebula that we talked about, like the Orion Nebula. Another type of variation on it. Down the bottom here is another nebula called the Cave. And it's a beautiful location as well. So now, if I come in here right now, let me try to just play a little bit with this, see what I can do. Maybe get us a little more detail. Maybe it gets too rough if you kind of do like this, But what this does for you is just gives you a little bit of the ability to kind of get a little more detail out of this. Keep in mind that when astronomers actually take photos, the photos that mean the most to them aren't necessarily photos at all. They might just be basically band passes of what's a band pass? Like just one slice of light, of a certain type of light. So we might only look in the infrared or only in the ultraviolet to see what's going on there. Like if we were to look at this dark nebula in here, maybe there's excess infrared in here because, well, there will be, because the dust is heated by nearby stars and then it radiates it. There's no temperature in space. Did you know that? I don't know how many people know there's no such thing as temperature in space.
What is it then?
It's either radiation absorption or emission. So the amount of radiation you emit basically tells you how much energy you had, and the energy that you absorb is how much you can absorb. And so you only have absorption and emission in space. And why is that? Because when the pressure is zero, the temperature isn't defined. You need pressure to have temperature. They're related. Remember the ideal gas law? Pressure equals...
No.
All right. Yeah, well, pressure is related to temperature. And it's it's like PV equals nRT. All right. And, the pressure and the volume are related to the quantity, atomic quantities, times T with the temperature, and those are that T. Okay, yeah, Charles, and that T is like temperature related to pressure. If P is zero, T is zero. See, it's a direct relationship, and you can't have one without the other. Yeah, Charles is a smart guy out there. He knows what's going on. He's sitting there nodding his head right now. I can see it. That's right. That's right. For those of you who have never met Charles Smar, one of the more intelligent guys you'd ever meet. When we had Pine Bush, and at Pine Bush we had Jen there. We had Charles. We had Ronald, ERT radio. Of course, we were at Bill New York Skywatcher's house. I was there, of course, and then we had a good time. We all got to meet each other. We got to see each other for the first time, and that's where Ronald walked in with a 2-liter bottle of Coke, and he never had a glass. He just walked around with a 2-liter bottle of Coke. It's like, oh man, I think it was Coke, or was it Diet Coke, Ronald? You tell me. And that was his drink of choice. It's like, wow, I could never get away with that. I could never get away with that. So anyway, we had a lot of fun, and we got to talk about many different things, and I had to do a presentation for Pine Bush, but unfortunately, that was the year we had tornadoes. So okay, thanks, Ronald. Diet Coke. So everybody was there.
That's my drink of choice too.
Yeah, everybody was there. And I'll tell you what, Diet Coke isn't such a good idea, but
don't. I've
I have to because it's a cause celeb for me. Everybody was there. We had a good time, and so I didn't want to see everybody come for nothing out there. So I did my talk. That I was going to do at Pine Bush. I did it out in Bill's yard with a screen that Bill graciously set up. And it was a lot of fun. I got to do the talk and show people everything that I was doing, and we talked about the history of the Earth. And that's where I did my toilet paper history of the Earth. I did do it at Pine Bush on the rescheduled date, which came along the next month as well. But it was really fun to do it for a very close-knit group of friends. And I can call all the people that came to Pine Bush with us my friends. So it was very, very nice. So, oh, by the way, this is also a good song for this. The Blue Danube Waltz. Doug Trumbull did the special effects, of course, for 2001: A Space Odyssey, and he used the Blue Danube as the Pacific, not Pacific there, what is the Pan Am Clipper docked with the space station in orbit. And it had to match the speed of rotation and pull in. It was like a ballet. So they said, a ballet, kind of like a waltz, it's a dance between two partners, a spaceship and the space station. So the entire time, there's no script, no sound, no nothing. You just see the ballet of these two ships docking. And it was not boring. It was beautiful. And they used it again when the Ares went to the moon. If you haven't seen the movie, you got to see it. It's very strange, but it's really cool. Anyway, this is the Christmas Tree Nebula. We have visited it for quite a while, and I think it's pretty. You can see now with some of the special effects here I've done. You can also see how the blue reflection nebula shows up very well, and how the emission nebula kind of peeks out. Okay, there's a mixed bag here, very complicated region. And then this is what it looks like on the photo before processing. After processing, that's what it looks like. And then I'm not talking about stacking. This is just this one image processed to show data. That's the cool thing. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go back to our... I just want to sing along with the song, because it's like when I was a kid and I watched this movie, I literally knew every single movement of this song. I could hum the entire song. I still can. Start to finish. Every little nuance.
I heard Ode to Joy this afternoon.
Yeah, the Pan Am Clipper, Daryl. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
It was on Supernatural, actually.
Oh, okay.
And big thank you to Johnny if he's out there. I'm not sure if he's out there or not.
Okay, so I'm going to pull the blue nebula just out. And we'll do a quick 30-second shot after we stop. Stabilize. And go. Yeah. And every time I heard the Blue Danube, by the way, after that, the Blue Danube Waltz, which you're hearing right now, every time I heard that after I've seen that movie, all I could see is spaceships. It's all I could see, spacecraft. I never saw people dancing on a dance floor in my head. I always saw spacecraft. And the delays and the timing are very important too. Like very important. And you see it, how it was all used to good effect in that movie. Amazing stuff. Okay, this picture did not function well. I will go back and do it again. Thank you very much. And I'll do this one picture again. Right, there we go. 20 seconds, 51,000. Gonna get this picture, shoot it properly right now. Oh, yes. Bum, bum. Yeah, I kind of listen to this one too much. I admit, I do. Yes, sirree. As you can see in our dome, we have good dome coverage. We're all set up there. Now I actually dropped the telescope a little lower, but I also changed the f-stop on the telescope. The sensitivity is the same, but I changed the exposure time. I meant, and I want to just see if I can if I can pull out a little more of this cave that I was trying to find before. I know I did before. Okay, you can see it there. Yeah, but let me just let's bring it out to you now. Oh yes, there we are. And let's just show it to you. Let me, bring it back here. Okay.
Here's the course we all know.
Yes, that's the one. Hang on, I gotta get. Where am I here? What did I do? I'm getting sidetracked by my own music. I'm like, yay!
I've given up on the conversation. I'm just listening to the music now.
Okay, well, fair enough. Alright, well, that is something else. Now we just go here. Okay, let me come up to here, go back to there.
I see people floating too. I've never seen the movie that you're referring to, but...
Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. It's okay. That's okay.
Well, you know I've never seen any of these movies.
I know,
but
that's fair.
I do. I see floating too. Floating in space.
Yeah.
Floating.
Okay, there we go. That's beautiful. So now what we're looking at over here, you can see this little area sticking up here. This is the Cave Nebula. It's really pretty. It has a lot of convolutions, I should say, right here. It's beautiful. You know. Hello, Dr. Floyd. Welcome to the moon. And you won't even know what that is. That's okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, we had plenty of space station plans. I even wrote one. For NASA. I wrote a plan up for NASA when I was 9 years old. Sent it down to him, and you know the story, Amanda. And some of our new folks may not, but I was into the space program, and I really wanted to be an astronaut and all that thing. But unfortunately, you know, at age 9, I had to have heart surgery, and from in those years, anything wrong with you medically completely disqualified you from any service in the astronaut corps. And that was me. So I was depressed and angry and upset, you know. But I actually sat there and wrote up a space station plan and said, okay, if I can't fly, I'm going to design something that people can fly in. And so I made up the space station on notebook paper. I tore out of a spiral-bound notebook. And I sent it to NASA in a little manila envelope that I got at the drugstore. And my mother was very kind to bring me to the post office. I remember walking in, pushing it way up on the counter because I couldn't see the top of the counter. I was age 9. So from behind the counter, it had to be funny seeing this little hand come up with a flat manila folder, and then the two little hands appearing at the edge and pulling myself up, jumping, saying, I want to send this to NASA. I had addressed it with my mother. And he thought that was he thought that was kind of cute. So I sent it to NASA, and I left the post office beaming, like, wow, I just sent a plan for a space station to NASA. And again, I was 9. I just gotten out of the hospital from surgery, and so that's actually probably a couple months after. And as I walked out of the building, I'm happy, you know, still a little tired from the surgery. And but at age 9, nothing stops you. So what I did was I ended up going to school again for the next I'd say 4 weeks, maybe almost a month. I came home from school one day, and my mother said, Mark, there's a big box waiting for you. I went, what? A box? And I went, and the first thing I saw was the return address. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. You have no idea what that did to me. Oh, man. I was so overjoyed. I went over to the box, my eyes wide. I opened it up, and the first thing that greeted me was cloth mission patches from all the human endeavors in space, models of the spacecraft, probably every one they had in the gift shop, all in this box, books, all right, and pamphlets, every single thing you can imagine, all put together by this one scientist down there who viewed my plan. And it was funny because, let's see, as I was, then there was a manila envelope, but it was my manila envelope with my plan in it. And I opened it up, took it out, and there was a letter, handwritten letter. Dear Mark, this is a marvelous plan. I hope that these little trinkets, I think he said, I can't remember if it was a word I didn't know at the time. I hope these little trinkets will help you in your endeavor to make it into the space program. And of course that was like, oh, I can't do that. But I could contribute the way I was, I thought. So, okay, cool. So it was signed Bert Lee, who was a budding young scientist at NASA at the time. And I kept that box for many years. I labeled it with a big black marker. I called it the space box. And every time I came home from school, I would find something new in it for months. All right. Kept it like it was like a family heirloom. I was so careful with it. But as the years went by and my attention drifted to other things, I ended up dispersing some of it to the winds. Some of them got lost. Made all the models. They got broken, of course, because I played with them, of course, after I made them. And then, as time went on, there wasn't one thing left. Not even my space station plan could be found. I had no idea where it went. But some 41 years later. 41? No, that'd make me too old. I was 9, so it had to be like 38 years, I think, later. That might have been about 38 years later. Maybe, no, 40 years later.
Oh,
sorry.
Dude, you're killing the story.
I'm sorry. Well, later. Okay, many years later.
Later, thank you.
Many years later, I thought about that scientist, and I said, I'm going to find that guy. You know, so I looked up Bert Lee, and I knew I heard of Lee, and I found him at Jet Propulsion Laboratory, but it wasn't Bert Lee. It was a guy named Gentry Lee. So I looked up documentation on Gentry Lee, and I found out that there was a paper written by him, and it was written by Bert Gentry Lee. Wow, that's the same guy. And Gentry Lee is the top engineer at JPL. He's the guy in charge of all the outer space missions. You know, New Horizons, the landers on Mars. The guy is the guy that oversaw the engineering on all the robotic missions to our solar system in that directorate at Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. I was like tickled pink. So I got on the internet and I made up I did a search. I found the guy's email. I said, I'm going to email Gentry Lee. I wrote him. I told him a little bit about the story. I've just told you. And as it, he didn't remember any of it. But to his credit, I wrote him his email. I sent it. I figured I wouldn't hear from him for a month or whatever. Well, like an hour later, I got this like 1.5-page email back from the guy with lots of exclamation marks. Oh my gosh, I don't remember you at all, but that sounds like just the thing I was doing. When I was there, I did this, I did this. He goes, it is so fantastic to see that you did get into astronomy. And I was like, yes, I did. You know, by myself, I'm saying it. And he goes, we gotta stay in touch. This is fantastic. I love your story. So we've been, I mean, it's a little few and far between now, but we did keep in touch for a while. It was really nice. And so it's amazing to think how people touch your lives and how they change you. And
I like that story. That's one of my favorite stories, actually.
Well, you know, his bag, that little box that he sent me, ended up being. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm you know, getting emotional here. My voice is crackling because it's tough to talk. But it was so crazy because that little box he sent me was the linchpin to like almost everything that came after. You know, then I was given a telescope, and that was money that was given to my family for for me, for, I guess, surviving the surgery or something from the heart surgery. And so then my parents bought me a telescope, and that's when the real journey began. That's when I started looking into the night sky, seeing all these amazing things. I called my parents out one day into the yard and go, Mom, you got to come see the moon, Because back then the moon was really important, right? And nowadays we can't stand it except in eclipses. And when I looked at the night sky with the moon in it, it was really cool because I got to see all these cool things, craters and stuff. So I pointed at the moon. I run in, I get my parents, you got to see this. Well, you see, I was only like 9.5 at that point. So what I didn't know was that, the longer you leave the telescope on an object, it's going to drift. So I went and I got them. And when I got my parents, they came out. They looked inside the telescope. Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't it cool? See all the craters? Oh, yeah. So I was like, wow, that's so neat. So they go back in the house. I look in the telescope, and I see a lens flare. I don't see the moon. Now, there's a couple little round circles from dirt on the lens that look like craters. But they got gypped. That wasn't the real thing. But, oh, no. I moved it, I had to move it, and which way did I have to move it? I had to move it toward the west. Okay? And as I did, okay, the moon came into view. It was gorgeous. I mean, so much better. I ran in to get them, and they didn't want to come out again. So I was like, oh, man, what a wasted effort. But it was fun. I stayed outside for hours till I froze, my butt off. It was just like so cool. Because even in the summertime, it get cold, especially if you're in shorts and a t-shirt all day with bare feet after swimming in the pool. So boy, that was a lot of fun. But that telescope took me for about 25 years. And then I bought a Celestron. And then I got involved with John Zach, who was my friend who unfortunately passed away. And John and I had the vision for SkyTour LiveStream many years ago. And then we ended up doing it. I started doing it, and then he got sick and died, unfortunately. And then I had to take on the mantle and finish. But I wanted to. I absolutely wanted to do it. So SkyTour LiveStream and the John Zach Memorial Observatory is born because of Gentry Lee, because of a little telescope, and the never-ending quest for information that a little kid had, So that's where this all comes from. It's just an amazing confluence of events that led to a very special, involvement with the night sky. And of course, it doesn't hurt that every time I looked up in the night sky, I'd feel homesick. I just felt like I belonged there. There was something about that sky which was just absolutely amazing to me. It never got old. Never has. So, does any of this sound like I'm saving my voice? I don't think so.
And I enjoy listening to the stories, so I'm doing nothing to help you.
No, that's okay. Oh, you want to tour the Skunk Works, Ted? Okay. I'll see what I can do. He just may never come back. That's a joke. All right, I'm going to do 20 seconds at 51,200 on Hubble's Variable Nebula because it's really cool. I want to see it in this context because last time we looked at it, we had an extra brightening in it that wasn't there the previous time. Shooting it at 51,000 is probably not the best idea. We shot it more like 20,000. Thank you, Jenny. She said, excuse me.
That was a beautiful story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what she had said, so I want to thank her for that. That was very kind.
Hey, relax, take a drink.
I'm all right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Hubble's Variable Nebula there. Edwin Hubble saw this little guy, and it became like one of his favorite little nebulas in the sky. For some reason, this guy was glowing differently at different times. It had a different glow. It would be brighter and it'd be dimmer. That's why it's known as Hubble's Variable Nebula, right? Well, that variance is because not of this star that you see down here. Well, no, you don't. This star here. You can see the shots of
like
little.
It's falling.
Yeah, the shot, it does. Looks like it's like a falling comet. This shot is actually a little screwed up because the telescope was blown around by the wind a little bit. But it's not because of this star here. You can't see the star that's illuminating the nebula. This is a field star. Okay, the star that's illuminating the nebula is inside this dark cloud here, and it's cocooned in there, and it's got other dark gas and dark dust circulating around it, like a planet orbits the sun. Dust can also orbit the sun, like asteroids can orbit the sun. Well, so can dust, and this dust will sometimes block the light of the star a little bit from this nebula out there that's catching this. This is a reflection nebula, and thus it'll end up being somewhat dimmer at times and somewhat brighter at times. This little tiny nebula way off in the distance. It is just an incredible little place.
Can you compare tonight's view to one from a while back?
I mean, do I have the photos to show?
Yeah.
I don't have them on. I take them off the computer in case the computer ever crashes. That is the outdoor computer. It's out inside the dome. Although this has been on since the lunar eclipse. This whole telescope system has been on. And Daryl, I will do that actually, Daryl. But to do that officially right, you know what I got to do? I got to just take another photo. If you'll bear with me for a second, I got to take another photo. And we're going to do 20 seconds at 20,000, which is the standard number that I use for the Hubble's Variable Nebula. So we're doing that now. Oh, Jen, you got headaches from your telescope? Yeah, you know what? I know what that's from. That's from squeezing the other eye closed so you could see out of the eyepiece. I got them too. And what I did was I used an eye patch like a pirate, and then I could just keep both eyes open. It was a much better way to view things. Okay. This one walked around a little bit too for some reason. Yeah, we must be getting some wind out there. I got to get a good one. Hey, it's okay. Let's go do this again. And I got to do it.
Jenny also wants to know later on if we can see the Firework Nebula.
The Fireworks Galaxy?
Maybe. She called it a nebula, I'm not sure.
Okay. I think that it's on the other side of the dome. I'll have to move the dome. So I think we're talking about the Fireworks Nebula, Fireworks Galaxy, I think. I'll find it. Okay, this photo looks like it's a little better. Okay, all right, I'm going to use this photo for comparisons when I do the comparison, okay? And you can see the difference. The span of days it takes several weeks to a month or more to see a difference in Hubble's Variable Nebula, I believe. I got to look at the period to see what it takes. But we can actually check that out and see it. And it's really fun to watch, just like when we watched the comets, if you remember. We actually looked at the comets and how they moved across the sky in just one night. Really cool, So that's something that I think we can do as well. Yeah, there we go. That's more of what we're looking at. So you can actually remove all the contrast noise, okay, like that. But then it's at the trade-off of losing some of the data and the detail in the nebula a little bit. Okay, so I prefer to keep that. And the only reason I drop it a little low is only if we're going to be zooming into the nebula a little bit to see some of these knotty areas in here. See these little dark splotches and stuff? Okay, those areas are very real areas inside the nebula. It's sort of wispy in there. And the qualities of those wisps change from time to time. For people to think that nothing changes in space, you steer them to SkyTour LiveStream. I'll show them things that change all the time. We see satellites.
Well, Daryl says the last time we looked at this, they looked different each time. So
yeah, if you recall,
hold on to these pictures.
I do.
Take these pictures and collect them.
I do. I collect them all. I have them all in one place. Now you'll notice last time we were here.
SkyTour LiveStream Facebook.
Yeah. Last time we were here, this area here was brighter. There was a bright spot. I called it out too. I said, "Look, this area is brighter than it's been." So we captured some of the variability of the nebula. I'll put those together. Yeah. So that's a really interesting location, a place that's very special. It has a lot of stuff going for it. A lot of very interesting, very interesting things going on inside that nebula, and we'll probably never know because we're probably never going to get there. So let's go here and look at what else we want to see. I want to check this out too. Actually, I'm going to zoom out for a bit because I think that we have Procyon there. We also have Sirius down here. Okay. And we have more clusters. There's Sirius here. Sirius, of course, is the dog star. And how do I know that? Because there's a dog. See, look. Ta-da. You'll notice that the dog...
Where's the cat star? I know we have Cat's Eye Nebula, but...
There is no cat star.
Well, who do we talk to about that?
I think you should talk to the IAU, the International Astronomical Union. You'll notice the dogs are greyhounds. That's because classically, the greyhound was the most efficient hunting dog, and they were used by the Egyptians a lot. And this is the Arabic constellation, so clearly they were going to use greyhounds as their hunting dogs, the faithful companions of Orion. And again, I'm sorry if it's hard for you to understand me tonight with my voice. I apologize.
No, everything you're saying is clear.
Okay, as long as people aren't falling asleep.
I think they're all just feeling really bad for you and really appreciative, hopefully.
Oh,
that
I don't want people to feel bad. No, we're having fun. This is nothing to feel bad about. Okay,
no, feel bad that you're going through this. Someone actually said a guy with one vocal cord and laryngitis is now singing.
I wasn't I? Holy cow, that's crazy. Hey, Ted, thank you for coming by. Thank you very much for coming by. Namaste, my friend. Yes, Jen, it is a greyhound. You're right. You're right. Okay, so we shut those things off. Now, let's see if we can grab a view of this beautiful location, too. We looked at this one time before, but I want to try and see if we can see it again. I bet we can. I will just have to see if I see stars. That's a good thing. And I'm going to just turn on the 4K. Make sure we don't have a dome in the way. This is amplifier noise from the camera. It is not the dome. Okay, so we're still moving around. We won't have our telescope back yet. It's still adjusting. That's why these aren't illuminated. Now they are. It has stopped moving. And it is now in full tracking mode. So I can now go and take a picture. And so we'll turn this off. And I think what I'd rather do actually is move us down a little. There we go. Move it down. That's a good one. Okay, so now we're going to do a 20 seconds at 20,000 here. And this is a location known as Thor's Helmet. Again, good night, Ted. Thank you for coming along. It was very nice to have you here. No, Laura, the fainter stars that were around the moon were not visible before the event started. And they wouldn't be because the glare of the moon was too bright. But when you have the moon substantially dimmed as it was by literally like 85%, 90%, actually over that, like 99% overall. I mean, I'm talking about brightness compared to the stars. Then they showed up, and that was really impressive to see those. And I very much enjoyed seeing those. And that's why I wanted to show them to all of you. I wanted you to see that. Little did I know that I was going to also snare a lunar impact with a meteor, but it did. And Astronomy LiveStream, who writes for Astronomy Magazine, took our stream and his and made an international story out of it for Astronomy Magazine. And it went out on the wire yesterday or the day before. Really, really cool. Maybe a couple days ago. So that was neat. It's nice to make discoveries like that. Those serendipitous things, man, those just stick with you. All right, let's play with this a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Okay, and now I'm going to take us to our little nighttime view here and go into my viewer and see if I can bring out some of the colors a little bit.
Laura wants to know if you were able to discern the lunar impact was a meteor or something else. Ugh, if it was.
Well, initially when it happened, we didn't see it. And then when it was brought to my attention by one of our viewers that something looked like it flashed, they gave an approximate time. I went back and looked, and I found the flash. And I studied the flash, and being that I'm an image analyst for the Mutual UFO Network and the chief photo and video analyst, I went through it like I would do a regular case. I said, what am I looking at here, I wonder? And so I ended up noticing that this was not like a glitch that you would see, a video glitch. And believe it or not, I had somebody arguing with me, adamant, that this was a video glitch, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And then all of a sudden, 20 other streamers around the world saw the same thing and put theirs up. People like the guy that was yelling at me, he just sort of disappeared. Well, I think I'll just slink back into the woodwork from which I came. Which is too bad. I mean, I think that was kind of, good motivation to know what you're talking about, to learn more about what you're talking about, This is Thor's helmet, by the way. You can see these beautiful filamentary structures. And if I were to take, say, 25 of these pictures, which I won't do to you tonight, and then stack them, we could see these really clearly and beautifully. And maybe I'll do that after the stream is done. We've been going now for how long?
Almost 3 hours.
Oh, I said I was going to go 2.
You always say that.
I do, don't I? I love the universe, guys. What can I say? I mean, I don't get tired. I told you, I don't get tired of it. And that's why I literally have to be torn away from it. So,
you should let your throat rest, but other than that, you're nice and warm inside. And
yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? Oh. Can you imagine that, though? If this was out in the observatory, this stream would have been done, guys. Because it's cold out there. I'm taking another picture, by the way.
It probably would have been seizing up your whole chest.
Well, my throat might. Yeah, you don't go outside and play in the snow and laryngitis when you have laryngitis. You know what I mean? You just don't. Okay, that's pretty, huh? Okay, so now we're gonna come back and go to our view here. Let's see, and now, oh yes, and then this is going to be there. Yeah, and I think I lied to you. I'm taking a number of pictures of Thor's helmet because we've got the view, and I'm going to take them. Normally, I don't stay very quiet in between, but because I'm trying to get this all fixed, so you get the laryngitis taken care of. It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. So I'm just gonna pop back, take another one. I just can't help it, guys. It's like, oh man, I can see the filaments inside the Thor's helmet there. I know it's gonna be beautiful. I don't want to risk that it's gonna cloud up or something and I'd lose it. So here I am, dragging your butts along with me, so I apologize for that. But I'll do my best to make it up to you some way. you know. Yeah, it's just, you gotta love this stuff, man. You gotta love this stuff. This is just not a, actually, astronomy is not for the faint of heart either, actually. You know, you can't do this if you're afraid to be all alone in a dome. When I was working in a parallax program in the big observatory, my shift was midnight to dawn. And it was just, it's brutal, especially in February. You know, the temperatures in the dome would be below zero. And I couldn't move. I had to stay in there to operate the telescope and keep everything running. And man, it was just not cool. I came out of there. I went back to my room, and I lay down in the bed and I slept for like half the day, covered up with more quilts than I think any human should have. I looked like a mound of laundry. Daryl, you're cool. Shut up and take a break. Okay, fine. I'm just taking repeat shots here of the Thor's helmet. Okay, and then just get a few. You know, whenever I do talks, I like to play music in the background too. So it's not just on the streams. This is the performer in me. I have a rich performing background. I've been part of groups that traveled around and did big magic shows and stuff. And as a result, I became a magician and so forth. So I learned how to deceive people with manipulative techniques, which sounds horrible, but they're magic tricks. You know, some people say that that's the devil's work. Well, you know what? It's magic tricks, and I don't make anything out of it more than that. So, where I've taken my magic this nowadays is in teasing data out of images that you just can't see, and not, violating the original content of the image. Just showing what's in there. Really neat.
Laura wants to know why is SETI so focused on exoplanets of Tau Ceti in search of?
Well, I mean, Tau Ceti we didn't know actually had any planets around it until recently, and so obviously Tau Ceti appeared in science fiction over the years, but SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and it's not really just focused on Tau Ceti. It's focused on the 21 centimeter line of neutral hydrogen. What's that? Well, hydrogen is the most plentiful element in the universe. It was the largest volume of the elements in the universe, and in the early universe, and thus the seed of all future fusion in the universe. So, but there is a frequency band in the universe that's not really populated well, and of course you could imagine it's associated with hydrogen because hydrogen has different frequency bands, and these frequency bands are bands that can be from ionized gas, excited gas, or what have you, and this is from neutral hydrogen, just H. Hydrogen atom, a singular hydrogen atom. So Seth Shostak noticed that there's no real noise on the neutral hydrogen channel, basically. Like a cosmic radio station, there's no signal coming on that part of the dial. So he chose to listen to that, and that's what they said. They said, well, look, if we think we could use it, then maybe another species out there has used it. And that's actually a good thought. I used to downplay SETI and say, they're looking for so narrow-minded. In fact, it's actually, you know, it's going to take all of us to do this. I'm going to run outside because this looks like a slight, might have a little impingement on the dome there, but it doesn't look it. I'm going to run through another picture anyway, just to see. I don't want to go outside if I don't have to. Yeah, it's worth looking. I'm going to go run outside for a second, okay? Do you see this red band and a blue band? Telltale sign. Got to make sure it's not a cloud or something. So, Amanda, you have the con.
A cloud?
Maybe.
Oh.
You have the con. None here on Starship SkyTour.
I don't know what con means. Controls? Oh, and he's gone. I'm assuming. He said that last time. I don't want people thinking I'm playing a con. I'm assuming he means controls. Anyway. Yeah, another show I haven't seen yet. But I wouldn't mind watching that. The original Star Wars from the beginning. Or Star Trek, sorry. Oh my god, guys, please don't kill me. It was an honest mistake. I was thinking Star Trek. I don't know why I thought Star Wars. But Star Trek, the original series, with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and all those good guys. Scotty, Bones, McCoy, and all them. Anyway. I just haven't actually seen the episodes, but I would. I would watch all the originals and then the movie and then maybe other series of it. What Star Trek would you guys recommend me watching? Hi, Keith. Might I suggest everyone subscribe to P&K Science? Just showed up in chat. You can hit the 3 little dots beside to the right of the name and go to the channel and subscribe, then come back. Now what does Keith have to say? And that's why he's not streaming. Paul has a telescope down in Florida, and the weather has not been good out there.
Uh-oh, it's quiet.
Oh, no, I was just reading.
Hey, welcome back to Starship SkyTour. I'm your captain, Mark D'Antonio, with number 1 at the con, Amanda Curran.
Say, look, yeah, everyone's explaining what con is. I said I assume it means controls. You're telling me it's when you're the pilot of a ship, it's when you're driving a boat, it's the submarine talk when a captain comes back on.
It's number 1. You have the con.
It's funny. People are suggesting I watch Star Trek. Control the conversation.
Hey, look, it's Keith from P&K. Welcome, Keith. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I was just giving him a plug, too. I was telling people how to get to his channel to subscribe and then come back, so.
Oh, very cool.
Miami has not had good weather lately.
Oh, that's too bad.
Hence the lack of streams on their end, but they'll be back in the saddle again.
They're back in the saddle again. They're back. Yeah, they'll be back. They don't go anywhere. They're really good. They are really good. They're good friends. They're good buddies. They're good people. There's Thor's helmet.
Right.
Yeah, and it looks like I did have impingement. I did have the edge of the dome was impacting the photo. So.
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I know Keith is just here to watch, but did you guys get any anomalies during the eclipse?
I asked him about that, and I never really heard back.
Well, I'm putting him on the spot now. We all see you.
Yeah, well.
You went from lurker mode to part of the conversation, so plug away. He wants a picture of the impact sometime from you, so.
All right. Well, I sent it to you, Keith, already.
I hope he wasn't zoomed in, because they zoom in on the moon a lot of the time, too. No, they probably wouldn't be for an eclipse, eh?
It's up to him. I asked if he had it, and I think he said there was something else going on, or maybe there were clouds coming by. I can't remember. Bring him in. Can you bring him in?
Yeah.
Sure.
If he's around.
He's definitely
around.
Bring him in if you can. Bring that boy in.
And Dave from ALS is in here from Astronomy LiveStream. He is in here, and he caught the impact as well.
Yeah,
he's streaming.
Okay? Yeah, that's very good. A lot of us caught it, and you know what? We didn't expect it. Knowing that the MIDAS program exists, MIDAS, MIDAS, which is the Moon Impact and Moon Impact. How come I don't? Moon Impact something analysis system. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Oh, it was kind of zoomed on P&K. Oh, okay. See, that's the problem. Right at the last second, you zoom in and you miss something. I know what that's about. Oh, D. Smith.
I asked him if he could join. He hasn't responded yet.
Oh, he's going to hide. Come on, Keith. Get over here. We need to talk to yous. Oh, get away from me, meathead.
He doesn't have it active on his desktop right now.
Oh.
How convenient.
Fine.
Okay, well, let us know when you get it fixed up if you want to join.
Yeah, Dave, ALS. I have a green screen, but I've chosen not to use that because I have this view here with the computers, so I have dome ops, and a green screen would be looking at so little of where I'd be that I chose not to go that route. I was thinking about it too, because I know that the bottom line is that it's all about trying to get people excited about astronomy and stuff. But I figured that if I do talks about certain topics, then I could magnify the view and so forth. But not necessary for this, So if I do a talk, I can actually, for instance, I can, if I want to do that, I could actually just say, okay, well, hey, here's me over here. Hey there, guys. Hi. Okay, and I could do that and have a large screen. But, here you can see Gumby again. There's Gumby. Hey, Pokey. So, bring that back down out of the way. Oops. If I actually grab it right. Okay, we'll drag it out of the way. I'm melting. I've melted. Okay. All right. So that's just reasonable for now. Yeah, true. Okay, so it's funny because if people aren't reading the chat, they don't know why all of a sudden I say these total non sequiturs like, yeah, you're right, or something like that. They have no idea. So while we're doing this last shot, I'm going to take a look over here because I want to find out if there's somewhere else that we might want to go to. I know there is. There's always a great place to go. This is Puppis down here. Puppis is not desolate by any stretch. Oh, the Seagull. We can try the Bright Nebula.
What's the other one called? There's Canis Minor and Major.
Yes.
Who's Puppis? Major?
No, Canis Minor is Canis Minor. Puppis, okay, if we look here, okay, Puppis is, where are we? Is it here, down here? This is Puppis, correct? Right. This is in Puppis. And let's see what Puppis is. Is Puppis...
You would think it would be near the dog.
Well, not necessarily, because Puppis isn't a pup, right?
What is it?
I can't remember. I'm trying to see the... Almost looks like a... I forget what Puppis... Oh, it's a ship, for crying out loud. See, look at it sideways, see? It's a ship.
Yeah.
But see, we're actually looking, fairly, fairly far down. Okay, this is, this is the south and southern horizon, so we only see a little bit of Puppis above the horizon here, see? So we don't get to see all the way down here. That's below the horizon. Okay, and it figures.
Oh, yeah.
That's where all the really good stuff is.
It's the poop deck. The poop deck of the boat.
Yeah, the puppy poop deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sadly, we don't get to see down that far. And we have our horizon here, which I think I've turned off. So I want to bring that back so that I can show that. Okay, so now you see where we are. That's where we are. Okay. Now there is the butterfly cluster here, okay, which is the different. I actually there's one I shot the other night, which actually came out really nice, and it was the Skull and Crossbones Nebula right here. I shot that. That came out beautiful, but you have to stack it. But then there's a bunch of others. Let's see here. This one is called the Calabash Nebula, and that one is okay. Show you that one because look at the name for it. It's hard to see with SkyTour LiveStream here. I'll just drop our name for a minute just so you can see that. Okay, check out the details there. The Rotten Egg Nebula. I mean, come on, everybody's got to have a picture of the Rotten Egg Nebula, right?
Weird.
Huh?
It couldn't have been a little more creative. We see a rotten egg in the sky.
Well, it's not necessarily a rotten egg. But let's see if from Thor's helmet up there. We're gonna go further to the east.
I hope someone wasn't throwing an egg.
I think I can do this. I think I've got the room for it. So we're gonna go there and check it out because everybody wants to see what a Rotten Egg Nebula is supposed to look like. So there we go. So now we're looking at what would ostensibly be a Rotten Egg Nebula. Okay, let's make sure the telescope has stopped functioning. It has. It's stopped moving.
Hold on.
Yes. I'm holding. What was I holding for?
Oh, sorry. I'm wondering if Keith can join us now. He said, don't check your Skype. So naturally I went to check Skype, and apparently he's been messaging me for a little while now.
Well,
so I'm assuming that means he can join?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring him in.
Well, he's still not green, so yeah, okay. Get at him.
He has to be green to add?
No.
That's what I thought.
He's messaging me, but
alright.
Say I can call him, so.
Good.
Alright, it's all good. Keith, you here?
Yeah.
There he is.
Hi. Hey.
Yeah,
what's up, lady and gent?
Hey man, you gotta drop your volume a little. Cause you're all coming in you're all on the same channel.
You want me to drop mine?
Yeah, just drop it a little bit.
Never had to do that before. Let me see here.
See, that's just like Amanda said.
It's in call.
Yeah.
Skype. It's just Mark's barely whispering tonight, so.
I'm just trying to keep it all even, that's all.
Call layout and settings, I'm guessing that's where it is. Audio and video settings?
Look at that.
Audio, yeah.
Okay, no, okay. Mike?
My name is Mike.
How about this? Will this work?
Yeah, it sounds good, yeah.
I have it at 8. 8 will work for you?
A little lower than that, actually, now that I'm looking at the levels.
7.5?
Go to 7.
7.
Thank you, brother. That's good.
That'll work for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Keith from P&K Space, actually P&K Science now. Otherwise, it was previously known as P&K Space Imaging, but they're doing a lot more than just plain old imaging.
Yeah.
So that's a very cool movement on their part. I love it.
Yeah, space imaging is just going to be one facet of it.
Right.
You know, we're still going to be doing same as much as we do now.
Yep. If not more.
It's expanding.
Yeah.
How's your throat there, buddy?
It's a little rough, but I'm okay.
Yeah. What did it turn out to be? Laryngitis?
It is laryngitis, yeah. I was telling everybody before, you know, when you have laryngitis, that's a swelling of the vocal cords. But when you have one vocal cord that's not working anymore and it's sort of dead hanging in the water in the middle, you already have an obstructed airway. But then when you swell the vocal cords, now it's like a straw. So I immediately, of course, went to the doctor and got on prednisone, and I've been on that for several days. And the reason you can hear me at all is because I have enough air now finally to be able to even talk. Now we're just getting rid of the rest of the byproducts of this process.
I know you had it pretty bad. Yeah, I felt so bad on the night of the eclipse. I was like, man, Mark is pushing through like a champ.
Oh, I loved it. It was fun. You know what, though? Everybody felt bad except me. I was having a ball.
Yeah.
And then when we found out that we caught that meteor, I was like, wow. I was telling folks before, and sorry to repeat it for all the folks that were here and listening to this. The last time when that eclipse occurred and we had that meteor strike, I actually had one guy argue with me saying it was a glitch, and he talked to a PhD image analyst who verified that it only was a glitch on my stream. Yeah. And
yeah, I think we do a little bit more investigations and just
well, I did,
you know,
say no.
I was scared to say anything because people were asking me on Twitter. I got like from known astronomers over in England. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything yet. And once I confirmed with your stream and Dave's, and Griffith Observatory and Astronomy Live, I was like, okay, yeah. And then once I talked to those guys, including you, then I was finally comfortable enough to go in and say, okay, yeah, we can confirm there was an impact. Now, the crazy thing about it is, at the time of the impact, we were actually at a low exposure because we were checking out the movement of the shadow line.
Okay.
Because we wanted to do like a 10-minute of that where I could do a time lapse.
Oh, okay.
You know, a little section time lapse of it. So we were doing that at the time, and it just so happens it happened right in that 10-minute period when we were doing it. So
and you weren't even there.
But that's awesome that so many people caught it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, the MIDAS program, MIDAS, that stands for oops, I went too far. MIDAS stands for Moon Impact Detection and Analysis System. MIDAS was actually very useful because it looks at the moon on the darker unlit sides of the moon on a regular basis every moon cycle and catches impacts, and they're really not that prevalent. They're rare somewhat. You know, but they caught them. They caught a few, but it was really an amazing thing, you know.
Hey Mark, do me a favor, send your, I don't know if you can make like a little video clip or your picture or whatever, but send it over to Physics World. They are asking for people that have seen it. They actually messaged me on Twitter to try to get the word out of anybody that caught it. They're actually doing a collection. They're doing something. They have a bunch of planetary scientists. Basically, what they told me is they have a planetary scientist now want to hear from anyone who observed or photographed the event. So...
yeah, I can give them a short clip, show it to them.
Did you make a short clip yet?
I have not, but I will. I will actually do that. I'm going to move.
That's for Dave, too, in the chat there.
Yeah.
For Physics World.
How short of a clip are you talking?
Probably of the event itself, so I'm guessing
so it's
probably like 10
yeah,
seconds
but I
or so.
mean...
Before and after?
Yeah, a few seconds before and after? Or...
yeah, that's all. That's all.
That would be my guess. Oh, that's cool. Okay, Dave did. By the way, hello to everybody that said hi to me in the chat. I didn't miss you. I just didn't want to interrupt Mark.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm interruptible, especially tonight.
Dude, cloud. I mean, you're looking pretty good up there. You know?
Yeah.
Pretty clear skies up there, it looks like.
Very clear skies. Had no clouds here at all, except in the afternoon I got cirrus clouds working through. Terrible clouds. Okay? But let me tell you, okay, the cirrus clouds cleared out within 10 minutes. It never happens. They're the higher altitude clouds.
Yeah.
So why did they go so fast? I don't know.
So what's on the agenda for tonight?
Oh, we've been going for 3 hours already plus.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
I was napping like a little baby.
Oh, you little baby.
Well, we were going to give it till midnight. You know, and once midnight comes around, we're going to see how the skies look.
Yeah, because you guys got the waning gibbous moon right now.
Right, and we thought that, okay, well, if it was partly clear, as I say, around 10 o'clock or so, we were going to go with the infrared. Yeah. And but it's still total blanket cover, but it looks like it's shifting, and it's that jet stream that's feeding from the Gulf, feeding that massive storm up in the Northeast. Yeah. So it's one of those rare times, because usually when my weather's crap here in Pennsylvania, it's great in Miami. Yeah. But this week has just been, I mean, we were actually lucky to get where it cleared out and we got the whole eclipse, you know, because it was really cloudy early. Yeah, I remember. But it cleared out for that, and then after the eclipse, it just, you know, clouds just started rolling and hanging around all week. You know, it's terrible. It's terrible. I just want to mention something too here. Just make a shout out here to Astronomy Livestream for creating a little video clip, which he took of my capture that we did here on SkyTour LiveStream, and he put it up for Astronomy Magazine, which was very nice of him. So we are part of that nice, you know, national or international story, which is great. So kudos to you. My hat is off to you. Thank you, sir. Wonderful. Speaking of CNN, no, I won't do that here. I'll tell you in private, Mark. I'm sorry. Sure. Now that everyone is listening, we were contacted about moon events. Put it that way. Awesome. And I gave them your contact info as well. Okay, that's fair. I'll go into more detail later, but just say, don't be surprised if you see P&K or Mark on streaming live on CNN's site, or see the images from us on that. That's very cool. That's in the future, sometime, maybe. Well, you know, that's a good thing, right? Well, they asked me about it, and I was like, listen, we're not set up for full moons. You know, that's not what we do. Full moons don't show well. Yeah, but we don't have like full moon like cams and stuff. Like I was honest with them. Yeah. You know, we're not really set up for that kind of thing. You know, for eclipses and whatnot. I said we have a large optic sensor. You know, slight movement, which it was that night. You know, with the wind, it was 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's shaky. You start getting those frame bars inside of there. I was like, it's not the best. I was like, but there is a guy you can talk to. About doing it. So I did feed them your information, so don't be surprised if you get an email from them. Oh, that's fantastic. That's okay. Thank you, man. You know, I'm just you know me, I'm doing 5 things at once, so here I am just trying to well, that's what I kind of figured. I was like, what's 6 things, you know? No, it's not much. Not bad. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I just wanted to show you, this was M46 in Puppis. It's a new cluster. I say new, you know, young stars. And you remember the B minus V chart that I showed you before? That was this guy right here. This is the one that shows you the colors of the stars. We look at the B minus V. This is called a color index. And usually these are reserved for stars, for instance, that have had if they're young stars, they're going to be really, really blue. If they're older, they're going to be really, really red. All right. Well, these are kind of right around here. Right. They're between the A, F, and G. Okay, and so they still are well on the main sequence. Remember the main sequence we talked about from this guy. Okay, this is the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, and we saw this main sequence right here. This main sequence tells us all the how the star's progeny goes and the evolution. Very hot stars on the left side and blue, and very cool stars and red on the right. Okay, so the HR diagram is how we classify these stars, but when a star is on that main sequence, it's burning normal hydrogen into helium, and it's going to live there for a long time. The dilemma we had, the conundrum, this is a beautiful cluster of stars. In fact, it's a young cluster of stars relatively, and when we're looking at this relatively young cluster of stars, we notice that there's a dying star planetary nebula in it right here. Okay? So how could there be a young cluster of stars like this with this nebula in it, showing that one of the stars is already reached the end of its life? It made no sense. So further study and analysis showed that this cluster is twice as far away as this dying star, which is in the foreground. Because we got to keep remembering that the universe is in full 3D. You know,
So that we would pass this, you know, we go out 2,500 light years. We go right by this planetary nebula, and we got to go another 2,500 light years to get to the cluster. It's literally half again as far away, and it's really something. But this is M46, Messier 46, in the constellation of the Poop Deck Puppis. Pretty cool, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Really pretty, yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was cool, and I there was something else I wanted to mention too here, and I'm trying to let's see, go back here. Oh yeah, Master Watt says that he saw me in a secure team video. Yes, unfortunately you did. This was the result of many years ago, decades. I had only given up the clearance in the last couple of years, but I was doing classified work for the Navy a lot of the time, and doing ship models, especially of new concepts that wouldn't see the light of day for 35 years. And when I was doing those, I did a set of projects, and they were like, "Oh, that's fantastic! That's beautiful," you know. And this is how they said it to me, and I'm sorry that people don't believe that that's what they do, but they did at the time. They said, "Would you like to go out on a sub?" And I said, "Yeah." All right. No, we're going to send you out to sea in a sub, have some fun for a few days, whatever, and enjoy yourself out there and learn all about it. Because I was working on subs exclusively, so I was totally enamored with that idea. And so I went out on the sub and immediately got seasick. And I'm thinking, wow, this is the most fun I ever had being seasick, Well, I went to the kid that passed as the doctor for the boat, and he gave me this patch that I could put on. And he said to put that patch on your neck. I go, why? What's that going to do? Oh, it's for seasickness. Okay. It was before that patch ever was made available to the public. It was that scopolamine, I think, patch. It was around that time. So they were using it long before, and that was better than Dramamine, because Dramamine knocked you out, and you couldn't be knocked out on a boat. You had to be fully alert. So anyway, that's yeah. Sorry, Kathy, the sub story. To alleviate the feelings of nausea from the seasickness, I sat in the sonar area, and there was one active sonar that was running. Well, I'm sorry, not active, but a passive sonar. Okay, and I didn't know how to read the sonar screens, and all of a sudden, while dozing off a little bit, trying to get rid of my seasickness, the kid yells out, con sonar, fast mover. And I'm now awake, and I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm going to be hit by a torpedo and die out here while I'm seasick. This really stinks, And I was very nervous, I got to tell you. I was terrified. I think I was worried I was going to leave a message on the seat I was sitting in. But the executive officer comes running around and says, what do you got? And he says, well, it's gone or something. He said, well, how fast was it moving? What was it? And he said, I couldn't tell. And the kid said, but I got some speed, a speed from it. He goes, I measured the speed. It was very, very, rapid. And he goes, how fast was it? And I couldn't hear the entire conversation about the bearing and the range, because, subs are loud, like I've said before. You can't really hear someone standing 2 feet away from you. You got to kind of lean over and listen. Well, I was on the edge of my seat, kind of looking like I wasn't. It was like so odd and awkward looking. However, the kid said the thing was moving several hundred knots in his estimation. And he was like, had his hands like out, like, what do I do with this kind of a look? And, clearly had not seen this before. And the executive officer, the XO, looked at him and said, okay, we'll log it and dog it, And so log it and hide it, I guess. And of course, I was just blown away by that. And so when the XO walked away, I wasn't seasick anymore. Are you kidding me? I had more adrenaline pumping through me than you can imagine. And so I get up and run over to him and say, "Hey, XO, I know something about these fast mover things." Smiling, big shot that I am. Hey, I'm on a sub, right? They invited me for a ride. I must be important. So I said, "I know about these things. Can I help you, sir?" And he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "Mr. Antonio, you having a good ride?" "Yes, sir, I am. Let's keep it that way." And he turns and walks away. So I was like, ew. I just shrunk down and kind of slinked back to the seat. you know. But then a few years later, I had to do a job for the Joint Chiefs, and I went down to Washington to deliver the project, and I delivered it to the home of one of the chiefs, and I spent the afternoon with him. And while I was there, I asked him if he could tell me anything about the Fast Mover program. And he looked at me, and he could have said, I don't know what that is. He could have said, what's that? He didn't. He just looked at me and said, oh, I can't talk about that program. I'm sorry, Mark. Whoa. That was the most important thing I heard, like, for almost all my life. You know, because up to that point, I had no real confirmation that any of this stuff was real. But, you know, it is. And there was another article that came out, too, by another guy who said they read the article that I had contributed to unknowingly. The UK Sun did the article on me. And then they started looking around and talking to the sub-Navy itself. Okay, do you see these things? And the response was, well, we don't just see them on subs, we see them from fixed sonar arrays, too. Oh, so they're happening. Oh, yeah. And we usually classify them as, you know, something other than what we may not know what it is, but we're not allowed to not know, is what one of the guys said. And he's probably right about that. I don't know. Now, could it have been a mistaken identity? Sure, I guess. Could I have been wrong? Well, maybe, but I'd be wrong because the kid was wrong, okay, about everything he was saying. I just relayed what I saw. But I know in that article, you know, one of the contributors said, we don't have a fast mover program. Maybe not by that name, I guess, but I know that I definitely heard the jargon being used. The chief knew what I was talking about. And he said that, you know, we're not, you know, I can't talk about that program. He knew what I was talking about. So, you know, it's not, this anecdotal information is not evidence. I've said that before 1,000 times. If it's anecdotal, it ain't evidence. It's only information. It's a story. We don't know if it's real, but we can suspect that maybe it's real. But you need a lot of this information taken together from different points of view of the same event. Then it becomes evidential, but it doesn't become evidentiary unless it's, you know, compiled together, all from the same event. I only had my observation, so I don't know. But I do know that if I was an alien race, I look at our oceans and I notice that we are not there. Oh, we have submarines. A lot of nations have subs, but they only cruise in the upper, you know, few layers of the ocean. They don't get down to some of these midwater areas, and, you know, midwaters, you know, the distance from, you know, from the top to the bottom, halfway, so to speak. And depending where you are, the midwater can be a lot deeper, you know, where subs cannot go. So, you know, there's a lot of things that come up here. There's a lot of possibilities, you know, and I think that the ocean is just inner space. You know, outer space, you basically, to get to outer space from inner space, you just change the sign on your pressure equation, don't you? You know, now that's a simplest way of saying it, but the truth is, if you can go interstellar and manage to hold your bulkheads together from exploding out, if you're an air-breathing creature, well, then you can certainly push out on your bulkheads so they won't get crushed, because it's probably going to be a variable system, because maybe you'll fly through a dense part of a nebula where that may be important. Now, nebulae aren't dense, okay, by any stretch, but compared to open space, they're very dense, relatively. So if you're zipping through there at some faster than light speed, you've got to have a ship that can respond to the differences in those densities, depending again on what your propulsion method is. If it's an Alcubierre drive, then you're folding space and basically kind of circumventing anything other than the short hop between your origin and destination. If you're using string theory and popping out of our X, Y, and Z dimensions that are all moving through time, so our 4 dimensions, and popping back in anywhere else in the universe, at that point, that's the way that the string theory of propulsion would work. And that process is even farther down the pike for us. But we think if string theory is correct, that maybe it's possible that we can do that too someday. And then we would punch in and punch out. What's that?
Sorry, I couldn't really make out the last bit of what you said.
Yeah, you're
kind of clipping in and
yeah.
out.
Oh. All right. Well, I said that, maybe if we were able to, utilize string theory.
Drive.
Yeah. Well, not Kubieri, but string theory. If we could utilize string theory, then we could just punch in and out anywhere we want in the universe, and we would become, I think, just like an advanced species, we'd become one of the best set of cartographers, map makers in the entire universe. We'd know the map to get around, like a computer network, one node to another. And I'm not talking wormholes. Okay,
that'd be one crazy 3D map.
It's right. It would be. You would be. Right.
Yeah, crazy.
Right. Oh, Laura, by the way, this is a total non sequitur here on this, but I gotta say, yeah, you're right about that. The milk supply had been poisoned. That's why thyroid conditions it came about from the nuclear testing. I think the fallout would land in the dairy farms. The cows would eat the grass, and then the milk would have radiation in it. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Just.
Jenny's going through some difficulties right now.
What'd you say?
Jenny's going through some difficulties right now.
Yeah.
No thyroidism. Trying to get it sorted.
Yeah.
Well,
In case you're wondering how that conversation came about. Yeah.
I've talked to Jen, and she's told me that she's had that, and it's like, I understand.
It could be a bunch of things too.
Yeah, I could be looking at the moon too much.
like something like because you know how like jetliners dump fuel if they have to, like high altitudes and stuff. That stuff eventually has to come down. Yeah, it's dispersed in small quantities, but it still has to come down somewhere at some time.
Yeah, but they usually dump it over the ocean, which doesn't say anything good, obviously, but...
Yeah, exactly.
But they do usually dump it over the ocean and not over, like, St. Louis, okay?
It's like fishing in the Hudson.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, you got to figure the amount of air travel
I'm going to hunt this down something to look at, too, by the way, just so you know.
Like 85 or something like that, was it? 1985? It's doubled since then?
Yeah.
Our skies are real busy.
Well, the other thing, too, is, when you look at the sky, you look at the night sky map, there's actually, not night sky map, when you look at the map of the current active airliners that are in the air at the time, any one time, I am amazed that we see so many of these in the air at the same time. And people that say that contrails are chemtrails, that's baloney. Okay, I'm public about that. That's just crap. There's no such thing as contrails. That's just it's just people's way of inciting
you and Paul
fear.
are gonna fight.
Yeah, well, you know what? I can tell you that's fine.
Yeah, we had the same conversation there because I'm not a big guy on the whole chemtrail thing.
But see, here's the thing, Keith. Chemtrails, okay, do have a fundamental foundation in a real event, but it was mislabeled, it was miscast, so to speak.
No, absolutely. Now, put it this way, and the sad part about it is that not only can people say this, but nobody would be surprised if it turns out to be true. That's how much trust people have in the government these days.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it just says something about our society.
Yeah. By the way, I'm doing a 32,000 sensitivity photo for 20 seconds of this region here. This is the region called the Seagull Nebula, and it's this part of the nebula. It's this part right here. And let's see if we can see this dark lane. And the thing is, this is this lane that we're looking at right here, and the let's see, let me figure out get the azimuthal grid here. This is azimuthal grid. We are 38 degrees plus 38. Okay, so it's kind of low, but we're gonna check it out anyway. All right, we're gonna see if we can see it. So I know that we're not looking precisely at the right thing here, but we're gonna go do it. All right, so let's go over there now. Let's see if we can get there. We're gonna say from here we're gonna go to the seagull now. Control that, and I'm already there. I forgot I had done that already. Never mind. So now we're gonna just take the picture. 32,000 at that. And yes, so going back to what you were saying, Keith, while we're taking this picture of the Seagull Nebula, the whole issue of chemtrails started when people saw contrails that seemed to persist. They said, oh, the persistent ones are chemtrails. The ones that go away right away, those are the contrails. Except that's not how it works. You know, science doesn't care what you believe. Okay, what we saw were the fact that contrails in the sky, contrails in the night sky, were there. And what happened was these contrails were very what's the word? These contrails were very persistent themselves, and that's because of the nature of the conditions of the sky at that point. And sometimes they last around. And what happens is there's something called there's a process by which ice crystals form alongside other ice crystals. Okay, this little nucleation stuff, and they get wider and broader as the day goes on, and they stick around. That's something that happened with these contrails. So
I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll be right here.
Well, Paul sent me a thing, and this is what I tried to explain to him out in Wyoming. He sent me a thing where there was two planes, and one of them had a contrail that was disappearing, and the other one had a super long one that's all the way across the sky. So I looked up on the flight radar, and I was looking at altitudes.
Different altitudes.
Well, the one plane was 13,000 feet higher than the other one. Yeah. It's like, that amount of temperature difference is astounding.
Well, it's not just temperature, it's pressure, and it's moisture conditions and humidity. I mean, and that's the thing. I've actually seen a plane flying across the sky leaving dashes. Yeah. Because people think that the air is all like one consistent homogeneous thing. It's not. The air is like water. It's just air, and it mixes better than the water mixes. So at the borders you have cold air, and then you can have cold air rise up above on top of warm air, and that's kind of like part of the chemical, part of the weather conditions for a tornado.
Well, there's two main things that people bring up all the time to me when it comes to the contrails. Number one is, when I was little, the sky never used to look like this.
And that's true.
And the one response that I have to that is, but of course, depending on how old you are, we have doubled, maybe tripled air travel since then.
That's
There's
right.
a lot more planes flying over.
There are.
And the second one is the fact that with geoengineering being such a big thing these days, and actually being something that's studied, and cloud seeding and all that stuff, it brings it on the rim of possibility.
Yeah,
it makes people believe that's something that actually can be done, and it probably can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done.
Yeah,
but
well, I think
I'm just one person.
No, but you might be right. I just think that people don't understand that the variations in the sky can cause these. Now Laura Hovey says something very important. What about during World War II? That's where contrails first started showing up, when bombers left these long streaks of trails across the sky. Well, wait a minute. Was that chemtrails back then? Why did they ignore that? But they are willing to talk about chemtrails and contrails now, as if they exist now. But that doesn't make any sense to me. If they existed then, they should exist now, right? I mean, or vice versa. And they don't. We don't see it. So it's a.
Well, what was the one they were dropping like stuff out? Was it Tuskegee?
No. I'll tell you that was another one that I was talking. That's the one. It might be talking about the St. Louis event. This was the event that actually, I think, got contrails turned into chemtrails.
Well, I mean, they did drop chemicals on people.
Yeah, they did. That's where I'm going. Okay, in order to test the effects of radioactive fallout, they were dropping cadmium sulfide, which is a yellow paint. Okay, very, very small quantity, so you couldn't detect it, but they could see it on a UV light. It would show up like bright. So they were trying to detect the path and how it would make its way through society. Is it now in the supermarkets, on the floor, being tracked in? that kind of thing. That's a valid test. But in the poor neighborhoods in St. Louis, they laced the cadmium sulfide with radioactive compounds.
There's a bunch of people walking around with yellow inside their lungs.
Well, they don't even detect it. It's too small.
Yeah.
But the yellow with radiation, they were now also tracking the cancers that were being created by their evil creation. See?
Fun. Yeah.
And that's actually, that was done by driving these trucks around.
That's like right out of Dr. Evil's playbook.
Yeah, it is. You know, and driving these big trucks around and wafting this stuff out. Pay no attention to the guy in the gas mask in the front seat. Okay, in the hazmat suit. Okay, and pay no attention. I'll tell you what this is shortly. And this is the Seagull Nebula. And pay no attention to the people that are gagging and choking on the ground there. Who are they? Don't worry about them. So here we go. There it is. But
why does my dog have an orange afro?
Yeah, right. And why is he talking English? No.
Yeah.
So then then what happened was I'm going to do 30 seconds. No, I'm not. I'm going to go back down and go to 51 2. Okay. Then they actually took these abandoned buildings and they put these fake air conditioner systems up on top and wafted the stuff out into the neighborhoods, these poor neighborhoods, some of it radioactive. And for some reason, it was conflated into being a aerial attack and flown in by aircraft.
Dude, that's right out of the Spider-Man game.
Yeah, but it wasn't actually done. It wasn't actually done. So to say that the chemtrails are real is to ignore the fact that the whole pretense under which they actually occurred is not real. They didn't actually it wasn't flown around. These things weren't flown through the sky. Planes weren't flown and dropping chemicals. Okay, that was actually a conflation of the truth. So I believe that's the background.
Can we just agree if the military has to test something, they got to find something or somebody to test it on? And they were a little evil back in the day.
Yeah, they were.
Probably why people think they're a little evil these days too, just doing it behind closed doors.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. We got to be careful. I don't disagree with that at all. I don't think that they're evil. I just think that they're so goal oriented that they say that sacrifice is worth it if we know the outcome. It's like, yeah, really? Then how come you don't put your grandmother in the line of fire, pal?
In the name of the military.
Yeah. Put your grandmother in the line of fire there, buddy boy. Let's see what happens.
You'll know that they did something wrong when they start calling people of an area patriots.
Oh, yeah, there you
Especially if they all are dying of cancers and radiation poisoning. And, what was the name of that town back in what was it in, was Missouri, I think it was, like back in the early 80s, that this chemical company was paying this one guy to take away their stuff, and he was burning it, and it contaminated the entire town, and they had to relocate everybody, and it was just a mess. And they finally cleared it as of 2012. I think they finally redid the soil test, and they said it was okay. So they turned the entire old town into a park because it was finally okay to go there again.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
That is amazing.
And the government ended up paying out like hundreds of millions of dollars to these people. I forget what the name of it was. Like a weird town name. I bet you I can find it if anybody wants to look it up and hear the story.
Was it in Pennsylvania?
No. It was in like Missouri or something like that.
Well, you remember the town that basically was burning from within, underground?
Oh yeah, that's right up. That's actually
that's
about
near you.
45 minutes from me.
Yeah. Did you ever go up there and just see all the burned up roads and the smoke still rising from the ground?
I haven't, no, but I plan on doing it.
Those are.
It's called Centralia.
Yeah, Centralia is a location where they had a lot of coal mining, and so there was a fire that started underground in the coal seams, and when coal starts burning, there's coal stoves. It doesn't want to go out.
That's what it was. It was in Missouri. It was called Times Beach.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to look it up and see and see what happened in that town, it's absolutely crazy. But Times Beach, Missouri, was a town just got totally wiped off the map.
Wow.
Because of contamination.
That's just evil.
Yeah. And it was right along Route 66. It was one of the things. The only thing left of it, I think, now is like just a little plaque. Saying the townspeople and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys want to, see something crazy.
Yeah, I think Centralia's story was really kind of impressive. Because,
yeah, well, Centralia, it was, somebody decided to light a fire in their backyard, not realizing it was on a coal deposit, and the thing just took off and
burned
hit the coal vein all the way down through, and it's still burning. It's not supposed to burn out for like another 150, 200 years.
Yeah, it's gonna go. It's gonna go and go and go. Yeah.
It was the inspiration for what was it, Silent Hill, the video game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that town was the inspiration for, because you go there and it's not really choking, but you do see like smoke rising up out of the road.
Yeah, you do. In fact, there's areas in the
has
road.
A smell sound.
There's areas in the road where it's melted away from the years of, of heat.
The crazy thing is that there's still 3 people that refused to sell out to the government that still live there.
I know that. I saw that.
Same.
Yeah, which means they have to have a police force. They have to have a police force that's going to be there to protect them by law.
One house is the mayor, the other house is the police chief, and the other house is the public service to keep the other 2 driveways clean in the snow.
Right, and then one house is Betty, who makes their lunches and dinners.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man.
Betty's got 3 eyes, but don't worry about her.
Yeah, don't worry
She's
about
a nice
her.
lady.
3 eyes and 3 other things, maybe. Who knows? But hey, that's just Betty. What can I say? Oh, that's just Betty.
That's just Betty.
So you notice here this in this image, this is the Seagull Nebula. This is the brighter area. We're gonna play with this a little bit, see if I can get...
Hey, did you do your radio show tonight?
No, it's Sunday night.
Oh yeah, that's right. Today's only Friday.
Yeah.
A loyal fan, I hear.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I got days mixed up.
Yeah, we didn't do it, unfortunately, last weekend because I couldn't talk.
You ever fall asleep in the afternoon and wake up and it's dark out and you don't know what day it is?
Yep.
That's where I'm at right now. Because we knew this morning, we and Paul were talking this morning, and I'm like, yeah, well, we can go for a late one,
Yeah, but it's only Saturday afternoon. It's just the sun went out.
Yeah. There goes my alarm. I was supposed to wake up, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I actually taught a class, what would happen if the sun went out. And
we would die.
Well, yeah, but it would be like
fairly quickly.
It would be 7 days.
Really? You think it'd be that long?
Yeah, because it would take time for the atmosphere to rain out as frozen components, like carbon dioxide would be first, then the oxygen would be second, nitrogen.
Yeah, but the temperature would dip fairly quickly.
Very quickly. The oceans would freeze before they could evaporate. So they would actually just be...
I think it's being a little gracious, but you're the science guy, so...
Oh, well, no, but see, we studied that.
I'm saying people would probably be dead in 4 days unless they had underground heavy-duty wood stockpile or something.
Well, and how long is that going to last?
Well, I mean, if they're stocked up pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's only so much you can do when the temperature dips below, minus 40.
Minus 40, it'd be like minus 90, minus 100.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How long can our heating last, that we have stored?
The infrastructure would fail almost immediately,
What is it, like radiated heating? Is that what you call it?
Well,
radiant stored on, say, from the sunlight from the time it went out?
Oh, well, there's once that's gone, it's gone. There's no way to get that back, right? So
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd all be dead.
Well, we certainly wouldn't be alive.
Yeah.
But
ISS poor guys would be up there just floating around.
No
hope of returning home.
Yeah, well, if the sun went out, it would just be like orbiting without any light but the light from the Milky Way.
Oh yeah.
And a dark planet where the lights would be just going off little by little each orbit. Lights would be going off. Yeah, the Philippines are gone. Oh wow, yeah, okay. Okay, all right, Japan's gone. Oh boy, what would you do? Just open all the hatches and just let it end? What do you do? It's an interesting dilemma.
Feet don't fail me now.
Yeah, and where are you gonna run?
I'm running to that mountain out there in Colorado.
Oh, a NORAD?
NORAD? Buy me at least a week.
Yeah.
They'd probably shoot you on sight.
Well, they probably don't have a way to open the door anymore. Because the power the power wouldn't be good for that long. The grid would be gone.
They probably have nuclear power in there somewhere.
I don't know. I don't think they have a little tiny reactor that services them. You know, and that's the thing. You know, if we get to that point, if the sun were to, let's say the sun began to fade a little bit. That is to say, the hydrogen process began to fail. All right? What does that mean? It means that we would not be able to get as much watts per square meter of energy hitting the planet. So it would start to cool off. But at the same time, gravity of the sun would win out, and the sun would start to contract. And as it contracted, it would actually make it hotter. And so we would end up getting more heat again, far more than we have. Okay.
Yeah, a hell of a tan.
Hell of a tan, all right. Okay, and then we would end up with the sun shrinking to the semi-equilibrium point, and then it would start to fuse more hydrogen, because as it shrinks, more of that outer hydrogen that can't be near the core to fuse into helium could get there again. Yay, I got more fuel. And the sun would then begin to, fuel up again. And when it did this, it would start to swell, because now it has this massive amount of hydrogen. And it would become a red giant overall. And that's when Mercury would get incinerated. That's when Venus would get taken away. And the Earth would get incinerated. The Earth will end up being possibly inside the sun.
Isn't that saying something? All humanity would be wiped out, but for some reason there's a Tesla convertible with a spaceman in it floating around somewhere.
You know what? That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yep.
Our last stand.
How did things get so depressing?
Oh, this isn't depressing, because it ain't gonna happen to us.
Yeah.
Wow.
But think about it. Like, all humanity's wiped out, and there's just a guy in a convertible floating around in
I was
space.
actually thinking about this today. Like, what if it was us? What if it was, like, tomorrow afternoon, the sun just blinked off?
Oh, wow. Well,
I don't think under any circumstances would the sun be able to blink off. I hope anyway.
no, we can't. But
It would slowly, but
what we
that'd
did
be crazy.
Was,
All of a sudden, it just goes out.
Yeah, sun went out. It's like, pew.
The big space people were right.
I just think, I don't know, it just seems...
Look at this swarm of bees.
I don't want to say unfair, because we're talking about the universe here, but...
Oh, but here's a
like,
nice...
it just seems so... What a pitiful end.
We got to consider, like, how lucky we are, too. I mean,
Well,
Earth,
that's what I mean.
Earth is
for
an
such
anomaly.
Exactly, and for it to go out just because the sun conks out, I mean...
Stars don't just conk out, but I know what you mean. You're right.
Well, yeah, you guys, exactly, you know what I mean, and...
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, Mark.
And nothing you can do about it.
Here's
I mean,
an answer
that
for you, Keith.
sucks.
Yeah.
Put your brain to work.
Okay.
How many of these stars are we looking at you think are already gone?
That's actually
That's a terrifying question, Keith.
Like, I know we can pretty much see, like, the closer one, but I'm talking about, like, the deep field stuff, you gotta, I mean, I find myself doing that a lot when I'm outside, like, at nighttime, looking up at stars, like, man, I'm wondering if those stars are even still there. Like,
Can
it could
I
have
ask
been gone.
a crazy
Well,
variation on that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What if we sent something like New Horizons to something that isn't there anymore?
Well,
That was gone before we got there. What would happen? Like, how would that work? Would the light just be getting dimmer as we got closer to it until it was gone, or
Well,
no,
would
we
we
would
see
see
it?
we'd
does
see
New
its end
Horizons
state.
have a destination, like a final destination?
No.
Well, I'm just saying something that's gone that far.
Oh,
We'd see its end. We'd see its end
Anything.
state. We would see the end state, from New Horizons. Okay, because New Horizons would finally reach that point in the light train coming from that object where its demise occurred, and so it would see it. Excuse me. So
We'd see its demise.
well, New Horizons would, and if New Horizons could send it to us, we'd see it eventually if it could get there. But here's the thing to keep in mind: stars live billions of years. So to see stars out there that you think may not be there anymore, we have to be looking at fairly old stars to begin with. You know?
Yeah, but you're thinking about like just the mass quantity of them.
Like for instance, okay, Betelgeuse.
You know,
Betelgeuse is just over 500 light years away. It's the upper left-hand star in Orion. Okay, it's actually, it's let me just go there first. It's this.
well, it's almost say, is it safe to say, like, no matter what, in our entire nighttime viewing sky, there's almost definitely a 100% chance that one of those stars isn't there anymore.
Correct. And like for instance, here's Betelgeuse.
That's a fair.
Let's grab Betelgeuse right here. There's Betelgeuse. And its distance is like just over 500. Well, this says 497, but it's actually like 520 something, I believe. And it may not be, but Betelgeuse is a very large star, and it's going to go supernova. It's a supergiant.
Is that the one we're talking about might do that in our lifetime?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe it already has. And so it did it. See, anywhere between, look, it's 497 light years. See this? Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. See this distance over here, 497.65 or 0.95 light years.
Yeah.
In the last 500 years, if Betelgeuse already went supernova, we wouldn't know about it for 500 years or however many years. So that light train of the destroyed star could be reaching us, at some point in the future here. See what I mean?
Yeah. It would be really bright even for being that far away.
And it'll be bright. But here's the thing: this is Orion, right? Well, now we have Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Alnitak.
Say what?
Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Okay.
Sounds like you were speaking some ancient language.
I am, my young friend. So now if I click on Alnitak, okay, we see that this particular star is a very bright star, okay? And as a very bright star, maybe this one is going to go supernova at some point as well, okay? All right. Its B minus V index, the thing we've been talking about tonight, and I'll show you that chart again. Its B minus V index is a negative, in the negative blue number. It's B minus V, okay, for Alnitak is right here, okay. You can see the color index. It's minus 0.09. So it's like one of these stars in here. It's a fairly bright star, probably an O. I think it's an O-type star, actually. It's an 09, actually. It's an 09 star. And among the hottest. And then we have Alnilam next, the middle star in the belt, right? And Alnilam, okay, is another one of these really bright stars, but this one is a B0, okay? This is like, this is in the B section here, okay? I'll get rid of the chart because it's not really helping us in this particular place, right? And now I'm telling you, there's a reason I'm telling you this. And then we go to Mintaka, the last star in the belt, okay? And now we're looking at a star that's an 09 supergiant, okay? An 09-3. All right, this is a giant star. This is a very, very large star. So it's Mintaka or Betelgeuse, take your pick. These 09 stars only live a few 100 million years, and then they explode. So Orion, as we see it now, this beautiful constellation with all this mythology that we've created, will be gone eventually. There will not be these stars in Orion, right? We won't have this belt of three, this distinctive belt. We won't have Betelgeuse anymore. We'll have Bellatrix maybe, because Bellatrix, okay, is a little bluer, right? It's a B2, but it's also a giant. So, these are giant stars, right? All right, then we have Rigel. Look at Rigel. Rigel is very bright blue, okay? And Rigel is a B8, okay? But it's a 1A, meaning it's a supergiant. That's what this is, okay? If we look over here, Amanda's talked to you many times, and we've talked about this before. You have OBAF, GKM in our Hertzsprung-Russell diagram like we saw, but then you have the spectral type, okay, that from 0 to 9 within each letter. So it's a B8.
Roman numerals.
Yeah. Well, the B8 is the spectral class. Okay. All right. The luminosity class is 1A, Roman numeral 1A, and this is a supergiant star. Okay. Its destiny is to explode. That's its destiny. Okay. What about Saif over here? Saif. Okay. If we look at Saif, Okay, Saif now, this is a B02 star. Okay, also a supergiant. So this star here, okay, Rigel, Alatak, Analan, Mintaka, Bellatrix, Betelgeuse, Orion is going bye-bye. These are all young stars. Betelgeuse is an oddball. It's already reached supergiant stage, red supergiant. It may go first, but maybe these already did.
It's nice knowing you. Thanks for the pyramids.
Right? Yep. Saif here is 647 light years away. Rigel, all right, is 862 light years away. Okay, Betelgeuse 495. Bellatrix, what's Bellatrix? Bellatrix is 252 light years away. None of these stars going supernova can hurt us, all right? But they're certainly going to put on a show, and the reason is because we are in the Orion spur of our galaxy, where Orion, the Orion Milky Way, in fact, you can actually see it here. The Orion Milky Way is there. If we turn this around and look the other way and follow our Milky Way down, we finally come to the summer sky, which currently is below our horizon right here, right? And I can turn that off, and then you see when we go down below our horizon, now we're looking toward the center of our galaxy, which is right here. All right, this is where we're looking. This is the center of our galaxy. But if we turn around and look the other way, away from the center of our galaxy, we first go by Orion, okay, and then we go by. Let me just get up there. That's Burfak. I kind of went too far here. Let me just bring us back. Okay, we have Altair there, and then as we come back, right, we come through, right, we come along, and then we get to Orion here. Now we're actually looking away from the center of our galaxy. We're kind of looking along the arm, and then we start going to these other places here, out here, okay, and that brings us back, looking back toward the center again. But you see, this is our galaxy. You can see the galactic stellar plane all throughout the entire sky, if you choose to look for it. See, it's all right.
Now
here.
You know why they want supercomputing. Can you imagine the poor bugger that's got to map that?
Yeah, right.
Discover, space travel.
Yeah.
You would literally need supercomputers to compute and range in, just crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But so the bottom line is,
Eesh.
This is what we got, but Orion's going to be gone. Now you think, oh no, Sirius is only like 8 light years away from us, right? Well, it's 8.6, right? But it's actually not a star that's going to explode on us, okay? It's actually an A15, right? That is to say, it's an A-type star. The second of its class. A0 is, the main, the A1 is the second one. It's a companion. It's an A0. So it's an A0, and it has a small companion star circling it, right? And so Sirius, being 8.6 light years away, if that small companion is a white dwarf, then that white dwarf could possibly accumulate mass on its surface from Sirius, then there's a possibility that we will see a nova event when and if Sirius ever does send enough mass to that little white dwarf, and then that little white dwarf can explode when this runaway fusion starts taking place on its surface, which is what happens. It's a special type of supernova, and they can recur. It doesn't obliterate the star necessarily. And now if that were to happen, at 8 light years away, it's possible that some detrimental effects could occur to us. But keep in mind that you'd see it happen, and then you'd have 8.5 years before the light train of radiation reached us. So for 8.5 years, I think there'd be people working on ways to create bunkers for safety, and doing all kinds of things to preserve life. That's what would happen, and that's beside the point, because obviously you'd also have a lot of people trying to take too as well. So But anyway.
Oh, couldn't you do the same kind of thing they were talking about with doing the magnetic field from Mars? Like, wouldn't they be able to put something out there, you know, to kind of do the umbrella effect?
Well, it depends, because it depends what radiation is coming in. You know, our magnetic field would capture a lot of that radiation in some form, but it's not.
I'm sure it'd be great for it.
It's not going to capture any. It won't capture the gamma rays. You know. By the way, I'm going to do a 25,600 20-second photo of Praesepe, the beehive cluster here in Cancer.
Oh, someone was just talking about bees in chat.
Oh, very good. Well, we're looking over.
Bees, I forget.
Let me just tell you where we're looking. We're looking here at the beehive cluster. The beehive is really pretty. Excuse me. Sorry. I had a little bit of a...
You need to get yourself some honey tea.
Oh, thank you, man.
Clever.
Yeah. So there's a process view of the beehive at the moment. I could kind of work on that a little. There's no nebula here, so I can do this. That's a question, you know, we talk about nebulae all the time. Why isn't there no nebula here? Well, the beehive is an older cluster. Not, you know, it's an older cluster in that it was formed within a nebula, but then its radiation from the stars pushed all the gas and dust away, and of course it migrated away. The stars are probably not gravitationally bound to each other, but they kind of form there, so they stay there. There's nothing really tearing them apart. So they'll continue to go. You know? So, pretty cool. But that's Praesepe, the beehive cluster in Cancer. And I have to say, with that, I'm going to decide to probably shut down the stream, because I think I've got to take care of my voice right now. I hope that you agree, folks. But if you've got,
get yourself some Hall's Mentoliptus.
I don't have any Hall's Mentoliptus. I don't have any Mentoliptus, Brian.
I would suggest a cup of tea, but I don't want you peeing all night. It's getting late. Oh, well, no, it's only 11 o'clock for you. You could maybe have a little cup of tea.
Yeah, I could.
Well, just something warm. It might be soothing. And
that's my dingo. Just cuddle right up to my little dingo dog. Dingo's a...
Dingo.
Yeah, she's a great dog. You met Dingo, Keith, when you were here, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I always forget your other dog's name.
Indy. I-N-D-I. Indy.
Oh, yes. Of course, Indy.
Yeah. Indy is cool. You see, we have good...
They'd be a lot cooler if they were cats.
And I should just throw out there, there's no way we're going to stream tonight. I
You
was looking at Florida radar. It's just crap.
Well, then may I formally invite you to Earth Radio. Bill is debuting his show tonight in a little less than an hour, folks. Midnight Eastern.
Bill New York Skywatcher, midnight Eastern on ERRT Radio.
It's the Madness Metal. No, Midnight Madness.
Midnight Metal Madness.
Yes,
you had it almost right.
Madness.
You had it almost right, except you didn't.
I know, but you know what?
I'm joking with you.
If you want to get it right, check it out yourself firsthand.
Yeah.
At midnight Eastern. It's Bill. Come on, who doesn't love Bill? Get over there.
Metal Madness.
All right.
Oh, and
Metal Madness.
How natural he is at stuff like that. Oh, it's going to be an epic show.
Not bad.
They will. He is hoping to do them live in the future, but unfortunately, this one had to be pre-recorded. But it's his premiere show, so please check it out. It's going to be
madness.
Really mad.
It's going to be madness.
It's going to be absolute madness.
Yeah. I'm in 20 seconds, 25,600. I'm going to try and pick up these small, faint galaxies that are all near each other right out here. Okay, and where is the right out here? Well, I will tell you. The right out here is, well, to the left of the beehive in Cancer. And where's that? Well, that's to the left of Orion And the Seagull Nebula, okay, is over there. And we zoom out a little, and there's Orion. There's Sirius right down there, the dog star. But to the left of all that, way up here in this little area of dark space, we see this little 3 galaxies that are sitting here. And I say 3, and where are they? Well, there they are. 1, 2, 3. So let's go see if we can capture them. And
I knew there'd be one more.
You did?
Yeah.
You're amazing.
No, it's you.
So.
Obvious.
No. So let's see what we got here. Let's do some processing. Let's throw a little processing in here. See what we get. Okay. I see the little faint ones there. There's one there. There's one there. See, we got them. Yeah, and we should see one more. That might be it right there. 1, 2, 3. There they are. Isn't that cool? Little fuzzy spots. Yeah. As you can see, I'm it's really hard to shut me down, folks. I'm sorry. Even when I know I got to do it, I can't. Sometimes I just don't listen to my own warnings inside.
We love your enthusiasm, but no, you should take care of you.
Yeah.
Stubborn.
Hey, I'm not stubborn, but I'm never going to listen to you. I ain't stubborn. I'm never listening to you. All right. Well, hey, you know what? I just want to say I am very, very pleased that folks have joined me for tonight and with Amanda.
Almost a 4-hour stream. Not bad.
Yeah, no, I was just...
For laryngitis.
I was going to do 2 hours. Actually, my voice came back better by talking. So I think that...
Hey, whatever you got to tell yourself, buddy.
You'll see how you feel in the morning.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah. Yeah, Laura's right. I actually had a steamer, and I would just stick my head down in it. It's a vaporizer, basically, and you just inhale the steam, and it really does help out. You know, really, really does. It clears a lot of stuff. It gets stuff moving, I should say. And I'll leave it at that. You know, yeah, moving stuff, not always the nicest part of, you know, that's... Yeah,
Good night, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
A really good question just came in by...
Are you looking at the one from Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron, he has a habit of asking these really complex questions, like literally when you're wrapping up.
I know.
That's why we love them.
Oh, you mean about navigation in space?
Yeah, when you don't have a North Star. That's a really good question. I mean, I guess you use Earth for a time being, but...
Well, actually, that's not true. In space, the satellites, for instance, Kepler, didn't use Earth. Okay, James Webb's not going to use Earth. They have what are called star trackers. And when I made models of the Google Earth satellite for the people that were actually making the Google Earth satellite. And so I went down to Phoenix and I photographed the satellite as it was being built. The coolest thing in the world. And then as I came back, I asked questions about what certain things were. I found out, oh, these little conical structures sticking off are star trackers. So in space, we can't tell where we are. So we can't use the Earth's position because it's always moving. We can only use the stars themselves. So if we want to keep pointing in the right direction or keep doing whatever, then we have to use the star trackers. And so they lock onto certain stars. And they make sure that those stars are always there. And if they move to another position, they have a whole other set of stars that they are programmed to look at and align with. So it's using star trackers out in deep space. And that's very likely how we would actually navigate the real universe, is with star trackers. But anyway, I just want to thank you folks for joining me. I'm going to close down the stream. I am not sure, when it'll be clear again, but I am looking forward to, I'm looking very forward, actually, to coming back and having you join us again. I hope you enjoy it. I know I enjoy having you, so hopefully we will see you again. All right? So
Sunday night for SkyTour Radio on KGRA.
That's very true. And join Amanda and I on SkyTour Radio on KGRA Radio. I'm getting there.
Special guest. Sorry, jumping again.
Yep. On KGRAradio.com with our special guest, Daryl, who's going to join us. We're going to talk about a few wonderful things. We're going to talk about lunar landings and the hoaxes surrounding them. And we may even talk about the flat Earth.
And about your awesome catch.
I'm there.
Yeah. Keith, you'll be there. Yeah, and we might even be talking about the meteor catch on the moon, of course. So it'll be pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. And I want to thank you for coming along. Keith, thank you for joining us in the last minute like that. That was great. Amanda, of course, my thanks to you. And to all of you out there, you guys are great. I want to thank you for your participation as well. We've got Astronomy Livestream, Sherry Kay, Cindy Murphy. That's a new name. Thank you very much for joining us. D. Smith, thank you so much. David Jones, ERT Radio, James Dugan from Down Under. We have Jenny, Jen Miko. We have Kathy. And we have Laura Hovey, Raymond B., and myself. And on behalf of my co-host Amanda and on Keith now, I just want to say good night to you all. And we'll be back the next clear night. See you later.